for Frodo.
Jenks,
Yeah?
who's Frodo?
I don't know. I have no idea what he's talking about. But he's just run off.
What? That's the king, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Does he want us to follow him? Does he want us to
We
fight?
didn't say, did
Are
he?
you coming?
Oh,
are
he's
you
come
coming
back.
with
What?
me?
Oh, he's back. Oh, sorry. Your liege, my liege.
Listen,
Yeah?
listen to me. I say for Frodo, then you.
You've just
run
never told.
after
You've
me.
never told us that
Listen to me.
before.
Is it a different languages
listen.
that you speak, or
Who's Frodo?
No. Oh, I
No,
thought that's
go
what
on.
you-
No, not at all.
no? We've just been in the
so
city. He's one of the guards.
I'm-
I'm one of the cooks, and we just put on some armor. We came down.
Yeah. Who's Frodo?
Yeah?
Have you ever heard of brie?
Brie.
The cheese?
Yeah.
The
Oh,
cheese?
cheese is delicious.
Love
In
the
fairness, I
cheese,
really
man.
I
like
love
the
it.
cheese.
Is that why you're charging for cheese?
I like
cheese?
Edam as well. Edam's delicious.
Are you
Forget
charging
about
for
brie,
cheese?
okay,
It's
listen.
Wensleydale with
'Cause he's a cook and he
cranberries in.
knows his
It's particularly
cheese.
lovely.
Who would you like me to say it for? For who? For your nan?
You could
Should
say
we do
for
that?
Gondor or something like
For
that.
your
That would be
nan.
fine because we're
That's something
Gondorians. So
we relate to that.
Yeah, we like
But
that.
who's Frodo? And it made you run.
What's it? I met him in a pub and we got along really well, and he just kind of made me a bit emotional. So I just thought we could do it for Frodo.
Well,
No,
we
in
haven't-
fairness, actually, that sounds
What?
alright.
What? Chris, I haven't got the same emotional connection to this Frodo guy that our king does.
Well, no,
Why
I'm
should
not saying that I do, but he met him in a pub,
Yeah,
and
but
now
why
he
is
wants
it
to
fair?
fight for him. You know what?
But I don't quite understand why I've got to run to my death for either cheese or a guy that you've met in a pub.
He was very small. Does that change your
What, the
mind?
cheese or the pub?
Frodo.
Is
Edam.
he cheese?
Should we run or? Would you?
Is
would you run?
he
Would-
cheese?
I ain't got nothing but love, babe. 8 days a geek.
Welcome to 8 Days of Geek, everybody. Here I am, Ben Pryor. Joined with me today is
AJ Jenks.
and
Chris Weeks.
crikey, what a flippin' lineup! This is going to be fantastic because we are back again with Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, the second half. Because we always go a little bit over, don't we, boys? We're a bit naughty like that, aren't we?
We're very naughty, yes.
hate what you're
Crikey,
doing.
wonderful. Anyway, let's get into it without further ado, eh? That's what they
Just
say.
one bit
isn't
of ado. Did you play Buddy in the show?
it? No, I didn't. I'm afraid. No.
Oh no, it's surprising actually because the impression was uncanny.
Yeah, I learned from just watching you guys constantly. I didn't really take my eyes off you for most of the tour, so yeah.
You weren't on stage at that bit.
Yeah, I would watch from the wings.
Right. That's why half of the guitars weren't in tune or
Yeah.
not brought on stage on time.
And I
The
was
top
wearing,
half of them.
Yeah, I was wearing tight spandex, so you could always see my.
It's a strong start.
It's an early one. It's an early one from Pryor.
Wow.
Right, hey, listen, boys, we're here
Hello.
again. Return of the King. How have we been in our isolation?
Oh, we've been fine.
I
We've
love
been
that-
absolutely fine.
We're here for Return of the King. Have you been in isolation? Which has nothing to do with Return of the King, but you still asked
they
the
were
question
strict,
anyway.
you
I
know,
love that you did
sometimes
that.
they had to
When we
self-isolate.
did episode 1 of this, the first half, were we in isolation? No,
No.
No.
we weren't. We were in Shrewsbury, were we?
Yeah, we were. We're in
Yeah.
Shrewsbury, yeah.
Wow, how amazing.
Because we've
So,
done...
so this really
we
is.
pre-recorded a lot.
This
we
really
did.
is a,
Oh,
this
yeah, of
really
course
is
we
a
did.
two-parter because it's like
Yeah.
half was on the road when we were financially secure, the other
Yeah.
half the complete opposite. Wow,
Yeah.
amazing stuff.
And
So,
here we are.
crikey, where did we leave off, Jenks? I mean, what do you think, mate?
I'm really...
He's living up to his reputation. isn't
Yeah, I can't find words, to be honest, Pryor, to describe what you're
I've
doing.
got
but
some
I'm
words
just
if you
in
want them.
shock.
I can,
No, let's not
Right.
use those words. You've
Okay.
already used one of them.
I tell
You
you
have.
what, I'm just buzzing because, you know, I've been given this opportunity to kind of host this show, just do the starting
No,
words.
it's not host.
Oh, isn't it?
I mean, you can host if you want, but I think tradition dictates you will not be hosting this
Um,
show.
Well, I'm not
You'll
all for
probably be,
tradition.
you'll be hosting Iron Man when it comes around
Yeah.
next, but
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
feel that Jenks and I will be kind of battling between that.
What, Iron Man?
Yeah.
No, I speak too much.
I-
Anyway, all right, okay.
Sorry, mate, sorry.
Anyway,
He's got a stutter, right? Leave him alone.
let's get to my favourite Lord of the Rings
It is, isn't it?
epic adventure. This is easily not easily my favourite. That's a stupid thing for me to say. I go
It's
back
very
and forth.
stupid.
In fact, yesterday, Fellowship of the Ring was my favourite. I remember thinking it
really?
in my head. Yeah.
Why?
I just watched a couple of clips of just the Shire and just the score going over the Shire. You know when you're just on YouTube and you're just watching little random things
Yeah.
and you watch the next thing. It was just little moments like that, you know, just Frodo and Gandalf just riding through the Shire and you just see all those little excerpts of life in the Shire. And I was
World
just
building.
yeah, I was just like, wow, that's pretty epic. But yeah, but this film, I mean, so we are at some pretty defining moments which change this whole film. We're just before the Battle of Middle Earth. We're about to go and see Shelob. The Rohirrim have left Rohan and they are on the way to Minas Tirith.
Yeah, they've stopped at Dunharrow, haven't they?
Yeah, so
The parts of the dead.
yeah, well,
That's
this
just
is
off the M25.
See, it's stuff like that.
Sorry, so I couldn't help it. You just
and people like it though. That's what I'm surprised at, is that people
Yeah.
are a fan of what you do.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
People are
what you
drawn
do.
to me mostly.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. But this I suppose to start off, because in the last one we spoke a lot about those kind of main things, what's happening in Middle Earth and what's happening to
Yeah.
Frodo and Sam. But this is, I think we should give a bit of time now to Aragorn, Legolas and Gimli.
Yeah, sure.
This wonderful, just before we actually go to them actually being on the path to the mountains, there was this beautiful thing which actually I never realised the first couple of times of watching, when Aragorn looks into the pathway and you then see the slight outline of the dead king. I only just saw that like a couple of years ago.
I think I'm the same. I think when I saw it in the cinema, I never noticed that. And
Yeah.
it is one of those things. It's a terrifying thing. He, I'll tell you what, he reminds me of Barbossa. You know, Jeffrey Rush.
Yeah.
He looks a little bit like him
Well,
in that sort of moment.
Interestingly enough, Peter Jackson had to change the look of all of the Army of the Dead because Pirates of the Caribbean: The Black Pearl came out just before this.
Of course.
Yeah, and they had obviously the pirates that were immortal, and as soon as moonlight hit them, you could see just skeletons, and that was the original Peter Jackson idea that he had of the Army of the Dead, but then had to change it.
That's
So,
amazing.
Wow.
That's why
it's amazing. I had no idea of
That's
that.
why there's slight connections between the Army of the Dead and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Isn't that interesting?
But I mean, what a cool concept. If we talk about, I know we're not meant to be talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, but they are so cool. The moonlight shining down and that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, do you reckon that would have made a big difference if it were in this film, if they had that aspect to them?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it would change the look and the feel of it quite a lot. I suppose they would be like that all the time. Is that what you're suggesting?
it was just the effect of how they looked when they were dead.
Yeah.
It wasn't the moonlight thing or anything. It was just that when they actually finally appeared in the mountain, that's how they would have looked.
But perhaps even
Literally
more
they look.
interesting is if they were like Pirates of the Caribbean, mortal until the moonlight hit, and then they were just this ghastly skeleton kind of figure. It would be amazing.
But that's not the
Prior's
story.
He's trying to combine worlds here. It's madness.
That's not the story,
it is.
Prior.
Of course it is.
No.
Yeah, they were.
No.
They were.
No.
They looked normal
No.
until the moonlight.
You're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
They do.
Pirates of the
Yeah,
Caribbean.
I'm talking about Lord of the Rings because that's what we're meant to be
No,
talking
listen,
about.
I'm saying if the Army of the Dead were like that, I said, how cool would it have been?
Yeah, I know, but
It would have been exactly as cool as in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing.
Exactly.
we've already had that experience of coolness. So why
No.
are you trying to question it and go, how cool would that be? We know
Because-
how cool it is because we've seen it.
This is a difficult episode already, boys. I'm not gonna lie. This is an uphill battle.
But yes, so let's get into, because obviously
shall we? Yeah.
these are traitors of Gondor, and they've been
Yeah.
cursed by Isildur.
Isildur.
Throw it in the fire. But
Where's
yeah,
he from?
I don't know. That was Sam.
That was Elrond mixed with Sam.
Yeah, throw it into the fire. Destroy it.
In fairness, they play the same part in that bit, don't they?
Yeah.
Destroy it. No.
But yeah, this bit. I mean, when I was a kid, it used to scare me a lot. The
Yeah,
pathway
it's terrifying.
in the extended edition, when Legolas has his full monologue, and you see that Peter Jackson is playing around with some weird camera angles. I don't know if you guys know which bit I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I do.
I understand why he took them out.
Yeah.
In the the shortened down edition, the theatrical
In fact,
edition.
like, I think an awful lot of the extended stuff in this film, I absolutely understand why he took it out, because it's a really long film. Even the theatrical cut is
You're right
really
there.
long.
You're right.
Yeah, sorry about that. There's too many C's in that word.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, he
it's
took
like-
a lot of the Army of the Dead out.
Yeah, yeah, but it's a shame, because their story is a really interesting one, and it sort of elevates Aragorn even more to. It's like the Houses of Healing later on. It elevates Aragorn to this kingly status, you know. But no, you can absolutely understand it, and it was a very arcadey sort of action sequence in the end. There, sort of with all the skulls coming down. But I remember it really fondly from the video game. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the Return of the
Part
King.
of the Return of the King PS2 video game.
Brilliant game.
Oh, so good. Someone was playing that. It was one of the lads on tour was playing.
Barton.
It was Boyd.
Yeah, it was Barton. was
Barton,
playing.
that's it.
No, it
So,
was
yeah.
Barton that was playing it. I was just jealous, you know, because you just think going back to that game after all this time would be amazing.
Yeah, well,
so good.
I just went back to. I found Star Wars: The Revenge of the Sith game
Oh,
upstairs,
that's a great game.
and I just popped it back in. I was like, "Wow, this
Amazing.
is incredible."
I thought you were going to say Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which has been
Oh,
released.
But that game's still around though.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been released on
that's-
Origin. I think it was free for a week. I just got it, and it's incredible.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Just a quick aside on that. Have you played the second one, the sequel, with all the restored content?
Yeah,
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Because that is, I mean, what a piece of work by the fans.
Amazing. Amazing.
I mean, you hear of nothing like that, really. There's one other instance I can think of that happening where the fan work is so good that it then gets essentially re-released,
yeah.
and it's it's now the finished game.
Yeah.
The whole story of that game is unbelievable. We'll have to talk
Yeah.
about that at some
You-
point.
yeah.
when
you
we talk
never
about
ever
Star
hear of
Wars.
that. You never hear of fans
No.
actually having that much of an influence to
No.
make a
But the-
re-release.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
troubled story of that game's production is it's fascinating. It's a real
Yeah.
insight into the game world, what can be done in so short a time,
Yeah.
but also the pressures of big budget. But we'll talk about that another time, shall we?
But then again, I mean, that does clip back to this film. There was so much content in
Yeah.
this film, the most that there was in any of the three.
Yeah.
And I mean, what? It comes up to nearly 4 hours.
What, the extended?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like was it
That's
3.5, 4 hours? Like bloody
It's amazing,
hell.
isn't it? It's very difficult to think. I mean, imagine what New Line Cinema is saying to Peter Jackson when he's trying to sell them a 4-hour film.
Yeah.
It's just not manageable. It just doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
So you can understand, but I'm sure it broke his heart to do it, because some of the stuff that's cut out, as ever, is stunning.
Yeah. It really
And
is.
scene setting and character building and all of the really good stuff that we love. But I remember going to see this film in the cinema, and as much as I adored every second of it, by the time the ending was rolling around, I was thinking, I tell you what, I could do with a break. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah.
In spite of myself,
I was
like,
the opposite. When I hit the end of, because this was the only one that I saw in the cinema,
oh, it's amazing.
and I remember when we got to that ending, and I thought, no, please don't let this be the end.
That's
Please,
amazing.
Please, I need this to keep going, because I think it's once it got to like 2.5 hours, I was like, right, I'm settled in. It can go
It
on.
took you
Does it
2.5
take you-
hours. My
Does it
God.
take you that long to get settled in?
Yeah. It's really bad when it comes to like 1 hour 20 movies and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I'm just
normal films that
movie
come along with
finishes.
left.
as soon as
the movie
finishes, I'm just like,
To be fair, he did walk out of The Last Jedi, so I mean,
Several times, I think. Then he walked back in, then he walked out. And
I did walk out of The Last Jedi quite a few times.
were you also taking part in a marathon?
I was, yeah. I had a speedometer, so I really had to
fair
go on
enough.
there.
Yeah, you just had to pop in now and again. That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this mount, I think you're right, Chris. With this is the first proper kingly moment where he has thought in his head when he says the line, "I am a Isildur's heir." He's accepted it, and he knows that is his destiny now.
That's it. And he says, "The dead will not suffer the living to pass. You will suffer me." Great script. Great script.
This is it, and like just that moment when which also reminds me of the battle for Hardhome. The moment when Jon Snow's sword hits the white sword reminds me exactly the same of when Aragorn's sword hits the king's sword in this bit.
You're absolutely right. It's exactly the same thing because each one is expecting, or they're not. I mean, I think Aragorn is probably expecting that he's going to be okay. Jon Snow is thinking he's doing it out of desperation. But both the White the White Walker rather, and the King of the Dead are expecting it just to go straight through and destroy the sword. What an amazing thing. You're absolutely right, Jenks.
And it's just,
goodness me.
It's that amazing reaction where Aragorn knows it's his badassery, if that's a word.
Yeah. It is now.
It is. If it applies to anyone, it applies to him.
Like grabbing his throat and then just pushing the sword next to him and goes, "The line was broken. It has been remade." And it's just like,
not the coolest line, that really, but
I love
really
that.
pulls it off. It has been, I don't know, is remade a cool word?
hell yeah, it's a cool word. Whatever Viggo Mortensen says.
You call him Vegan Mortensen?
Vegan. I think he is now vegan because he's very 2020.
He is, yeah. He's a good lad.
I think he should have said reforged. I think that's cooler.
Reforged is a good...
Reforged would have made sense for the actual mythology and that type of film that it is.
And literally the sword. Let's take a moment just for the sword, because we actually skipped past Elrond coming to the Rohan camp.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And he brings him Anduril, Flame of the West, in a departure from the books where Aragorn has the shards from the beginning and they're never in Rivendell.
Yeah.
But that's a whole lovely... I think that's quite a nice addition. It adds weight to the whole journey. Obviously, Aragorn's journey in the books, he's already accepted the kingship at the start.
The reason why I'm guessing the reason why he took out that Aragorn has been holding the shards is because obviously at the same time there's that massive break between Arwen and Aragorn. You know, their love is again being strained and strained and strained, and Elrond can see this. And because obviously Arwen is not going now, she's not leaving. He goes, right, Elrond just thinks, right, okay, well, this is where we put our hope. We put it in Aragorn.
Yeah.
I will reforge this sword. I will take it to him, and that will be his best chance. Let's see how this goes. Yeah. So I think that's the reason why they brought it back in, just to keep that relationship kind of going through the storyline and keep it moving, which is beautiful.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it's a great addition. I think it works really well. It adds a depth to everyone.
Got to talk about that score moment where he takes the sword out.
Oh, it's a long sword as well, isn't it? That camera goes up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
It's a thing of beauty.
We are still talking about the sword, aren't we?
I'm sure that Viggo would he'd have no qualms at all about the camera going other places. He's doing fine.
Yeah.
But the sword it's a thing of beauty, Andrew. What I really love about this sword as well is in a similar departure as with the score of Lord of the Rings, which is very classical and very sort of symphonic, in a departure from like the electronic and rocky scores of sci-fi films before this. Yeah. The sword is simple and it's medieval. It's not the classic like garnished elven Daedric swords, whatever that you would find in your classic video games. I love that. Yeah. I love the simplicity, the elegance, the power that comes with that. I believe the sword is a real sword straight away.
Yeah. It looks really powerful. The sword looks powerful. How often does a sword look powerful? Normally it's the wielder, but it's a sword that looks so powerful. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's an interesting
point. Put the two of them
together.
Yeah. Put the two of them together and wow.
Yeah, life made. So we have just had that beautiful moment where he's gone, it has been remade.
Yes.
And then he does that great again. I love these camera angles at this point where he just points the sword out, does his little speech, and they're all staring at him, and then they just boom disappear.
Yeah.
And then then we get onto this Lord of the Rings: Return of the King on Xbox moment where they don't show in the actual game. You take on so many of them to get out.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Takes ages.
But it's great. We've never seen a scene like this really in Lord of the Rings where they're escaping somewhere. They're always going to somewhere.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. They run a lot, but they don't. Yeah, there's no threat that they're literally running from in the moment.
Yeah, it's always a chase, especially with Aragorn. It's always a chase moment.
Yeah.
He hates kind of running away, but seeing this, just seeing, because obviously he thinks he's failed.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting. Which comes onto the bit where he comes out of the little back door passage.
Yeah.
And just sees the pirates just going past and just drops to his knees.
The Corsairs of Umbar.
Yeah, and you can see that he knows he's failed. There's that slight the first moment I kind of pronounced myself king, and I've just failed, and he just hits the deck. And does Legolas put a hand on his shoulder?
I think he might, a moment of humanity for my elf friend.
Yeah, and then that great moment of we fight.
Yeah, it's great. Of course, he's had that. I always remember the moment that Aragorn has, which is in the original cut, of "What say you?"
Oh yeah,
what say you?
Yeah,
and then that's the cut, isn't it?
Yeah, that's big in the game. He just keeps repeating it in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, really, really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, Aragorn has, through the Stone of Orthanc, declared himself to Sauron at this point as well in the extendeds. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He's held the stone in his hand and he's bent it to his will, which again is a massive moment of mastery and kingship from him, which it's quite significant. It's like a watershed moment for Aragorn. That's him talking to the Dark Lord and revealing himself, and then this as well, getting the army. He's really taking control now.
But he gets,
which is great.
Sauron shows him Arwen.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
and that she's fading away.
And he drops. He drops the. Not corona.
Persistent cough.
Goodness me!
Very
God,
persistent.
3 times.
Forgive me. But yeah, he just drops everything and just hits the deck again. He loves hitting the deck.
He does. Oh yeah, he doesn't mess about.
Oh, I love my dick. The neighbours all come round and sit in my deck.
Chris, you got a lot of work, mate.
What? It's just
not
Australian.
Yeah, he's not though, is he?
He's not.
I am.
No, you're not.
Nah.
Although that denim sleeveless shirt would. It would belong there.
Doesn't it?
It really does. Look at that. That's
But
awful.
yeah,
Thank
then-
goodness this is a podcast.
Then we've got a straight cut, and we're at Minas Tirith, and there is the army of Mordor
Oh goodness me!
marching to the walls of Minas Tirith, and we have that fantastic score of.
Dreadful. Terrifying.
Yeah, that was awful. Actually, I'll take that. I'll take that one
I
for the
think
team.
Chris was referring to the score itself, but then I think
In fairness, it applies to both.
Yeah, it does.
What
really
what
does.
else was terrible?
Oh, nothing, mate. Nothing. Sorry.
Nothing.
I was just doing the score. What else was?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So our lovely friend Faramir has fled Osgiliath again after Denethor's ridiculous attempt to retake the city. And Denethor's gone absolutely crackers by this point because he thinks that Faramir's died as well. Not the finest example of fatherhood that we've ever seen. Everything all right, boys?
It's him. I
What's
can't
wrong?
deal with him. Not when we're doing this.
Yeah,
You two are a nightmare.
Carry on. Sorry, Chris. You're doing so well, mate.
Faramir's
Thanks, mate. I
returned
really
dead,
appreciate that.
hasn't he?
Faramir's not actually dead, though. Let's just be clear.
Well, no, I know, but in the terms of the film, everyone.
Yeah, it seems as though
and
he's
us.
on the point of it.
Yeah.
It must be said. And then there they are, the army of Mordor,
Crazy.
revealed with the Witch King leading them. I mean, it's terrifying stuff.
What did you think of the army of Mordor? Because obviously they're very different troops to Saruman's army, to Uruk-hai.
Yeah, they're not individually speaking, they're not as impressive, are they, as the
No.
Uruk-hai? But the numbers wise, they absolutely are. And the battering ram that they have, Grond, the hammer of the underworld,
Grond!
is.
Grond!
Yeah, I mean, it's terrifying, isn't it? The great hog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a horrible thing, brutal looking thing.
Yeah. That hog.
I thought that was a weird thing to say. What is it?
What is it? Isn't it like a flaming wolf?
It's not a wolf, is it? I thought it was a boar.
No, it's like a flaming
It's
wolf.
actually.
Isn't a hog a motorbike?
No, shut up,
No.
Ben. No, it's like it's got a wolf's head.
Or a
Has
very
it?
large
I mean, that would
hairy
make a lot more sense. Is that it? So since 2003, I've been thinking that it's
You think it's a
a
pig?
big old pig.
man. They go, he's great. After he dies, we can make bacon out of him.
That's dreadful.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, a whole wolf's body.
I know
the
I'm
internet
right.
confirms it.
I know, because no one has ever thought when that scene comes on that it's a hog. Because it's so obviously a wolf. When you look at it, it's obviously a wolf.
Wow, I'm gonna have to rewatch this film
Yes.
just for that moment.
Chris, I'm going to apologise in advance. Why the do you think it's a hog?
To be fair, when he said hog, I was thinking, I really don't remember this film.
I'm looking at it now, and I still see a hog.
That's crazy.
Goodness me! But yes, they bring him along, and
The old hog. So when I said that for the first time, were you two like, that's a weird way to talk about
did you
it?
not notice that we just went silent and just started smiling, and then I just went,
I thought it was
hog.
my choice of the word hog, not the word boar. That's literally what I thought.
no.
But then why would Sauron have a boar as his battering ram?
Why would he
They're
have a hog?
useless.
Why have you accepted in your head that Saruman has thought, you know what, as a battering ram, lads, let's make it like a hog?
I thought that, honestly, in my head, the way that I justified it to myself as a young, like, as a 13-year-old boy, as I was at the time, I was like, okay, fine. The hog is like, a pig is like a symbol of, like, decadence and gluttony.
That was your train of thought when you were 13.
I
This
think
pig is a sign
unconsciously.
of decadence, and
Because, as a child, you don't question it in the same way.
but
You're
did,
just like,
clearly.
no, I didn't question it. I was like, it's a hog, this is why. I came up with the reasons. I think this might be my low point on these pods.
Goodness me.
I thought
that drink
I
down,
knew
mate.
a few things. No, the drink is helping now.
I am absolutely shocked. This is, yeah, I really...
I can't believe we've never discussed this before as well.
It was Jigs' face. That's what threw me.
I just literally just did a slight smirk and started
that-
turning my head.
Yeah.
A hog.
Amazing. Wow.
But
And
anyway,
yet, I'm
That was
looking at
20
it.
minutes wasted. Good job, boys. There we are.
Sorry about that. I blame myself for that, really.
Oh, God.
but yes.
Anyway,
they
the old hog.
They bring him up and they're all cheering
hog
and
Hog.
chanting his
Hog.
name. Bacon. Just having a little cheer because
The roast afterwards.
yeah, they just had a lovely roast and
Delicious.
yeah, it was just all fun had by all really. But
It was Guy
fun.
Fawkes night. Speaking of, actually,
goodness me, in case people are watching, we are all drinking.
Why would they be watching?
Oh, no one's. Why do
How
I
are they
keep
watching?
saying this? People
How
that
are
are
they
listening, we
Look, it's tough
we are
times,
all
right?
drinking right now. Should we go around and say what we're drinking? I'm drinking a lovely Gamma Ray.
embarrassing. I don't even want to say. I'm drinking a very
Go on, say
kind
it.
of. It's a can of Kronenberg. It's like
Wow.
yeah, very cheap. They came in a
Cheap.
4-pack, and they came bound by that plastic that kills like things in the sea. So
Right, so you've really covered all bases.
really, I've done well.
Weeks, what are you going on?
I've got a lovely, I think it's a Glenlivet. Delicious. But it's not helping.
It's
making
really,
not helping.
it's damaging you right now.
I've just sent you a picture on the WhatsApp, which I
no.
think we need to put on the Instagram to support this.
Oh God. Shall I ask Joanne to do an edit?
What of this picture?
Of like Peppa Pig being a battering ram
Don't
to
talk to me about
to
that.
smash in.
Not Joanne, I mean Peppa Pig.
I was gonna
She's
say,
been on
God,
all day.
leave her alone.
Poor
It's like,
girl.
Jesus, that's my girlfriend you're speaking about.
Yeah, look, she's our chief editor.
Right. So yeah, Sorry.
Anyway, the
We're so
hug
far
that
gone.
everyone
We are
that's
so far gone.
Lord of the Rings
that
fan.
really knocked everyone for six.
Oh,
It did.
goodness me.
Really did.
But yeah, so we get this awesome moment where I tell you what, it's just before the battering ram comes through. I'm really trying to carry this on. Really trying to carry this on.
I don't know if we can.
So difficult.
So yeah, just before this is the moment where Denethor screams to everyone, "Flee,
Oh, God.
flee for your lives."
Yeah.
Just before we see the battering ram, and that's when we see all the Gondor army. What are your thoughts on the actual Gondorian army?
I mean, there's not really much of one, is there? It's like it's the few men. I always wonder this: what's happened to all the people of Gondor? Like Gondor's a big place. Where are they all? Like,
Yeah.
even if I know that they don't keep like a standing army, and they've got like the household guard and the guard of the citadel. Guard of the citadel, indeed. But like there are lots of them about, and I'm sure they can handle a sword. So. Just like the people of Rohan, if all the people of Rohan that could fight fought in Helm's Deep, why are they not all fighting now?
Weirdly, both kings didn't call, as I'm speaking in Game of Thrones terms, but didn't call in their banners. Rohan just went to Helm's Deep. It was only Gandalf that called Éomer. And Denethor just didn't set himself up for this battle at all. He didn't even believe it was going to happen.
It's weird, isn't it? And that is a slight departure because, of course, Imrahil comes with they're literally called the Swan Knights, which makes me think of the Night of Flowers, from Dol Amroth, which is in like the southern tip of Middle Earth.
Yeah.
And he comes up. But even then, I think he's the only one really that comes in any sort of force, and he doesn't come with many men.
No.
It's a really weird question, isn't it?
Yeah, well, but it's kind of funny that both kings have done not. He's not a king, Denethor, but
but essentially,
but both of them made the same decision, really, just not to do anything about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it is arrogance on Denethor's part. He thinks that the city will never be breached, and he's got the Palantir, and he's learning all of Sauron's plans by sort of jesting with him. Or jousting, I should say. He's not jesting with him. Jousting with him mentally. So maybe it is a sort of arrogance on his part, whereas with Theoden, obviously, he was under Saruman's spell.
Yeah.
But
it's quite. I think it is part arrogance. It's just he doesn't want there to be. I don't know. He's a weird one, Denethor. That's why he's such a good character, because he is so complex.
He is, and he's got so many weaknesses for a man in such supreme power.
He just gives up, tells them all to flee, and just gives up.
Does. He locks himself in the crypt.
Yeah,
and he's going to burn himself alive. I mean, it's mental, and that's why Gandalf wallops him.
Yeah,
that's a great moment.
But just before we get to that moment, we've got the fantastic moment where Gandalf rides down and says that back to your posts. That moment, and you've got the siege towers coming to the walls. Yeah. And then they're battering through the door, and Gandalf has that fantastic line, whatever comes through those gates, you will stand your ground. And then that fantastic moment when the gates break down and there's just trolls come through.
Yeah.
And,
it's dreadful,
and you see the faces of all of the men just going, oh.
Yeah. We can stand our ground against some things, but not this.
Yeah.
It's interesting as well because they provide the reverse of what happened in Isengard, and it's interesting because the trolls are a corruption of the Ents, essentially, in the same way that the orcs are a corruption of the elves, and so they provide the same roles for both opposing armies. In Isengard, the Ents came and swept everything away, and no orc could stand before them, And the same way here, when the trolls are in, I mean, what are men supposed to do? They're just so strong.
Yeah.
There's nothing they can do at all.
Yeah.
And so you think, oh my God, Sauron is unbelievably powerful, both in his use of literal magical power, and also the strength of his army is, I mean, Gondor doesn't stand a chance, at all.
Because we've got these catapults that are firing in. We've got all the Nazgul just going in and going hell for leather on all the catapults and the trebuchets. It is, I mean, pretty much from the start, Gondor has lost. It's just a slow process of that. And obviously, Merry is following Denethor and Faramir, and that...
It's Pippin.
That's the one.
Yeah,
One
the
of the
one
two.
and the same. One and the same.
Yeah.
Don't worry, boys.
Oh no, he's ill.
It's the gamma. The gamma's got to me.
Gamma.
Pippin is
It's gout.
is
gout.
is,
It's
follow,
gout, yeah,
is
yeah.
following in and watching this, and straight away runs down to Gandalf and Gandalf was making fun of me alive. And
Yeah.
and
He's stressed. He's stressed in that
of
moment.
course he's stressed.
Understandably.
Of course he's stressed. There's a lot kicking off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But and
yeah,
then
yeah.
Pippin gets on the back of the horse, and Gandalf
Shut
rides
up,
up, and then bang! That is when we meet, and I know this is going to be a big topic of conversation.
It's some
This,
ASMR there.
What a hi there, how are you?
Horrible.
Hear the raindrops.
This is a weird one, boys. I got to tell
This is
you.
really weird.
But yeah, and then but we're gonna have to get deep into this because I want to know both of
Yeah,
your
go on.
opinions. But we have the Witch King.
Yeah,
Obviously
I think we touched on this last
slightly,
time. Didn't we?
yeah. But yeah, the Witch King comes down and stops Gandalf and Pippin in their tracks, and
Yeah.
obviously then the Witch King lifts his sword and kind of it becomes.
That gout
Sorry.
is awful. Isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm a scout. Dib dib dib. Anyway, and
It's a giddy one. It's the heat. I blame the heat.
it is the
Did you
heat.
say I'm a scout? Dib dib dib.
I
That's
did,
exactly
yeah,
what he
I
said.
did.
Our American listeners are going to be like, "What?"
They
I know they have
they
scouts.
have
don't
scouts. Yeah, of course they do. Sir Baden got everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Baden Powell.
But yeah, that's another podcast we need to do. The life of times of Sir Baden Powell. But anyway, yes. So
Baden Powell of Harrenhal.
what we need to talk about is the Witch King destroys Gandalf's staff, which I slightly understand why they've put that in this movie. I
Yes.
slightly do. I believe it's to show the power of the Witch King and to show
Yes.
as much as Gandalf is powerful, this is how the darkness has risen now. They are so powerful. Mordor has this, dark power which now rides over
Sure.
what Gandalf has become and what the Witch King has become. But what do you guys think of it? I know I
Right.
got a feeling I know what you're going to say, Christopher Weeks. Thank you. Take it
Yeah,
away.
yeah. No. You save me because I've got I've got an AJ Jenks like opinion on this. So Prior, go
Ooh,
ahead.
Prior. Go ahead. Go ahead.
My knowledge on
Go
this
for it.
is that the films
Let's
are very
hear it.
different from right. My knowledge on this is that the books differ from the films in that his staff wasn't broken in the books.
But what as a moviegoer,
Okay.
did you think, wow, this
Yeah.
this shows how Gandalf isn't the most powerful, or did you think, I don't know if that actually makes sense in my head?
No, I thought it was warranted, and I thought it was justified for the film, for movie purposes, because if you kind of have the average moviegoer coming to see this, they're not really going to understand the full spectrum of this guy's power, unless he defeats, or, pushes back, shall I say, someone who is of the status of Gandalf, because we're also familiar with Gandalf, but we don't know too much about the Witch King, so it has that kind of... I think it has that gravitas that I felt was necessary for the film, but I understand why people who read the books would be a little bit miffed and a little bit confused by why they did that. But from a filmgoer's point of view, I thought it was okay.
That's a fair answer, to be fair, and it's kind of interesting that you haven't read the books, so you don't have those kind of different opinions.
Exactly.
Like as a moviegoer, it's just kind of well, that shows the high intentions.
Exactly. I just took it as with face value what it was.
The stakes are big, but
Exactly.
But Mr. Weeks, let's hear your opinion.
Look at
Take it
him,
away.
he's red in the face.
Right, boys. I don't want to overstate this, and I hate to overstate things. This is by some margin, this is the worst change from the books. By some margin. I think Jackson gets pretty much everything right. Pretty much. This is a bizarre choice. A bizarre choice.
Explain, please, Mr. Wicks.
Let me answer Ben Pryor's points. Okay, so you're saying we don't know much about the Witch King. Fine, we don't know much about the Witch King compared to Gandalf. We don't know that much about Gandalf, really. We've just seen him around a little bit. The Witch King was in the Fellowship of the Ring. He stabbed Frodo. We've seen him in the Two Towers, flying around on a fell beast, having a wonderful time. We've seen him in his castle, Minas Morgul. We've seen him getting all armored up. We know that he's a powerful figure. Gandalf has already talked about him, but Gandalf talks about the Nine, or rather, Pippin talks about the White Rider being equal to the Nine, right? And Gandalf is like, oh, well, no. Then he says there is one. So I think Gandalf is talking about the collection of the Nine versus him, because, and let's not forget, I know it's not in the films, but Gandalf faced the Nine on Weathertop and escaped them and defeated them. Jenks is settling right in now. This is the 1.5 hour point. He's really getting comfortable.
I've opened another one.
Getting comfortable.
Lovely. And no, look, Gandalf is of a different, literally a different natural order than the Witch King. The Witch King is a human being, even though he is a wraith now. He was a human sorcerer. His limits are those of a human. Gandalf is like an angel. That is the limit of his power. He has celestial power, and it's artificially limited, essentially. So it's limited by the choices that he's made, and that he's agreed to follow these rules and these limits on himself. I think it's a wild thing. I can't justify it at all. It's
my
bizarre.
mind has been changed. I feel like with that powerful riposte there, I think there's no arguing that can be done. I think I was merely innocently looking at it from a filmgoer's point of view, where we are perhaps not as enveloped in the story as someone who has read the books. But regardless, I feel that, you're right. He is of a totally different presence, if you will, to the Witch King, whereas he's someone who's been corrupted as once a man, whereas Gandalf's meant to represent this almost godlike being, and I think he shouldn't have been as easily I'm not going to say defeated, but pushed back in this.
Well, he was disarmed, wasn't he? He was disarmed.
Yeah. I mean, but I do still like it in the film, and I know that that's not going in with what I've just said, but I do like it in the film because to me it just adds that suspense and the, oh God, if Gandalf's even kind of being thrown about, this could really go wrong, and it puts me on the edge of my seat.
It is.
I could see that. But I'd really like there to have been a proper standoff between the two of them.
Oh, that would have been
great. That would have been awesome. And if it had looked like the Witch King was going to get the upper hand, but not easily, I would have bought into that, and I would have felt real peril at that point.
Yeah, agreed. Totally.
It's too easy for me. I think that's the main issue I've got with it. If he somehow, by some wild stroke, was able to outmatch Gandalf and destroy his staff that way, I'd be like, okay, fine.
Yeah,
but
he does.
It's the first thing he does.
Gandalf seems very weak at this point. He seems like it was like, oh, that's it, my staff's gone. I'm a bit useless, and I think I was always a bit confused by it, but nevertheless, still thoroughly enjoyed it.
Which is interesting because this is meant to be Gandalf's most powerful state that he's ever been in history.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's interesting hearing both points. This is definitely the biggest argument between Lord of the Rings fans.
It is for this film, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very big one, and I do get both points. As a book reader myself as well, I completely understand why there's so much hate for it, but I also, as just a average moviegoer, I also understand why they've put it in, because they've just wanted to make the stakes so high.
Oh yeah.
And
no, I can see it. I just think it's a misstep.
And I think it slightly pushes Eowyn's kill even more. It kind of, but then again, I can understand there's an argument against that of people going, well, why could Eowyn kill him and Gandalf not?
It's true.
I suppose there's an interesting kind of thing about that, but then again, that's a slight trick.
She is no man, though.
Exactly, that's a slight trick that she pulls. And let's all remember, it wasn't just her. Merry also stabbed him in the back. But
You stabbed him in the back of the knee? Oh, God.
Yeah.
Horrible.
That's worse than an arrow to the knee.
I mean, it is.
yeah, true. But
Saw
yeah,
a mud crab the other day.
I
It's an Elder Scrolls reference for all of you listeners out there.
Yeah.
but
You're big fans.
But I knew that was going to be a big little talking point there for Mr. Weeks. But it was interesting.
Big little talking
It was
point.
it was interesting to get your point on it prior as a moviegoer, because
Yeah.
I watched the movies and then read the books, so
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
You're like
Whereas
a
I've
step
read them
ahead
all
of
by
me.
this point.
exactly yeah. So it must have been quite weird in the cinema for you just watching that, going,
Totally,
Yeah,
man. No.
It wasn't. It wasn't a Last Jedi, obviously level of jarringness, but yeah, no, it's just for me it was just a small moment of oh no. But
Yeah.
then quickly forgotten because of what comes next.
well, yeah. So he then rides up to the crypt and sees Denethor.
What's dinner for?
Weeks, you carry this on.
That's Danny Dyer's cousin.
He rides on up to the old crypt, and he has to grab one of the what's going on here? He has to grab one of the spears from the sentries
We need
because
to
he
stop
doesn't have
drinking.
his.
I just fell off my chair. I'm sorry.
Goodness me! It's the gout.
It is the gout. Chris, you
dreadful.
were doing so well, mate. Carry on.
Thank
'cause
you.
that
Sorry,
was
it just
great.
fell off my chair.
So he's
there.
had to grab like the spear or the halberd off one of the sentries because he hasn't got his staff, and he rides on in there. Denethor's covered himself in that oil,
Yeah.
which it looks. I mean, it looks like it's quite a lovely, pleasing shot on the eye. But my God, it must have been
Thick.
horrible to film. Yeah, really thick, really like silvery and shiny and reflective.
Almost sexy.
You
Oh,
well, I don't know if I would.
would you class
probably
him
wouldn't.
as sexy?
No, I
Well,
mean the oil.
Oh, what him?
Just not the
him
man.
Not,
in oil.
not Denethor, just the oil. Carry on.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Gandalf, as ever, wallops him with the staff, sends him on backwards,
That's
and
in
then
the books, isn't
Denethor.
it?
Oh yeah, he wallops him.
Yeah.
Tolkien loves that sort of language.
He
That sort
actually
of
has one of
Beano
those.
language.
Yeah, it's one of those little bubbles that come out and goes whop.
Yeah.
good.
Whoa! And Denethor goes down, and as he goes down and he catches on fire, as of course he would, he sees Faramir open his eyes, and at this point he must be like, "Oh, what?
Yeah.
Are you joking?
I'm on fire now.
I'm on. What am I going to do now? I'm covered in oil.
He's covered
and
in
you're.
oil.
Oh God. He must be just upset, and that's why he throws himself off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I've just realised before this is my favourite scene in all of Lord of the Rings, and
Go
I
on.
didn't bloody mention it.
What is it?
Well, after the staff has been broken, we then hear a
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought you were coming back to that.
no, it just
Well, I suppose in fairness, you are coming back to that.
yeah. This is my
But that's what stops the fight between Gandalf and
yeah.
the Witch King.
This is easily my favourite scene in Lord of the Rings, or any Middle Earth film.
Any
there's only
what
6.
would you say in cinema?
Oh.
Ooh, wow.
Because this is a
Do you know,
big moment.
Quite possibly, I think this was filmed, and when you see the behind the scenes, how they filmed this and stuff like that,
Yeah.
you realise how fantastic it is that most of the people that are Rohirrim are actually women, dressed in beards. But
Amazing.
yeah, just Denethor's speech here.
Theoden.
Denethor does have a good speech as he's kind of falling off, doesn't he? Yeah. He's,
Th-
it's great.
This is Theoden.
Theoden's speech here. Just
Feeling good, mate?
just really, I just
He's
said
pushed.
this is my favourite moment.
Yeah.
and wow.
So I thought the Battery Man was a pig. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, Theoden's speech just I love it. It's so empowering and just big. And then just
It's brilliant.
just the ride, the Howard Shaw's score over the top of it.
Yeah. It's so rustic, isn't it? It really comes into the fore.
Yeah.
In a very different way to Gondor. Like you can see the real contrast of the Gondor theme,
That's
which
what
is
I
very,
love.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is all French horns and brass and modern, or not modern, but more modern military might, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Do you like that? More modern military might. Come on,
Such good
Alliteration.
Well
isn't
done.
it? Wow. And
It's one of my favourite
and the
things in English.
how about that? And the Rohirrim theme is all strings and fiddle, and oh my god, it's a completely different sound.
Yeah.
It's just stunning. Goodness me.
But that moment where they hit the ranks for the first time, where there's absolute silence, there is no score.
Yeah, again,
You just-
exactly the score goes.
You just hear that.
yeah,
And just like, wow. And you just.
yeah, it's
And it leaves at about 20 seconds, and then bang, the score comes back up just as you see them kind of
I love that.
arrowheading through the lines.
And that really makes sense with how the score is arranged at that moment. The charge of the Rohirrim is it's where before it's been sort of somber and it's been aged and decrepit, because Rohan is this it's a society that's sort of been left behind essentially. But at this moment it's this last like desperate charge, and it has that feeling of desperation and momentum as they're moving down the hill, and even Theoden sort of, because we know he's about to die. We know that, having seen the film, having read the books.
Yeah.
He's sort of at the last moment, at the last possible chance, rises to be kingly in that speech that he makes.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
I don't know.
and
And Aragorn
he-
does the same thing later. Of
He
course.
also believes it is the end. He says earlier 6,000 spears.
Yeah.
And then Aragorn says 6,000 spears will not be enough to break the ranks of Mordor. He knows that
He knows.
this is the end of Rohan, but they're going out on such a...
Yeah, I would have them make such an end.
Yeah, is that...
I mean, it's amazing.
Exactly.
It's a suicide run.
Yeah, and even though, you think, maybe this is a possibility, maybe they can win this, when you actually get into the depths of it, and obviously you got the Mumakil coming in, and you got the men from the east coming in a second.
Big trouble.
This still isn't gonna do it. They are still gonna lose.
Yeah,
And obviously,
there's nothing they can do.
and then they break through the ranks, and then Éomer says, "Make safe the city," and Theoden says, "I can't remember what he says now."
Oh, I can't
But
remember either, but he sends them the other
Yeah,
direction.
he says them opposite, and then you hear again another horn, and you're like, "Oh
Yeah.
God!"
Yeah.
And then you just hear that chanting again, silence, just the chanting from far away. Of
Yeah.
Hog, hog, hog.
we were really
really makes me
moving
think of
then.
Game of
We were
Thrones.
back on track.
I
We
know,
were.
sorry. I just it had to. It was perfect timing. You hear that chant? Hog, hog, hog. Bring the hog.
But yeah, and
Looks like meat's back on the menu.
Salted pork. Oh.
this is not
It's a dark moment,
this is
boys.
not going to be
Sorry.
2 parts. 3
Carry on.
parts. I'm sorry. We
Sorry.
This
Carry
is going in my autobiography.
we are going to do this. We are going to do this.
Do this.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that we've got another hour and a half to go. But
No, it's fine. It's fine. We're doing well.
it's good. But yeah, so then they, you've got the Mumakil that come, and you hear them singing, and and already you're like, okay, right, well that's, and then he does another desperate charge.
Yeah. Reforms and charges
Yeah.
the elephants.
Yeah,
he charges
them
the Mumakil.
because
Mentor.
I mean, what else they can't go round the sides, for God's sake, like it just
Yeah.
wouldn't work, and they charge head on, and this moment gets me as well, because as soon as that, they got the slight head turn of one of the Mumakil, and then it just bangs into them. You're just like,
Oh, the power.
and you're just like, they're done. This is it.
It's like the trolls again, isn't it? It's like nothing can stand against those creatures because they're so huge and powerful.
Yeah, and they're just fighting their way through, and again, silence when the actual fight starts.
Yeah.
After they hit the Mumakil, it's silent, and they're just
Yeah.
firing. Éomer does a fantastic little throw with his spear.
Oh yeah,
Which
That's lovely. That's a Wilhelm scream, isn't it?
Oh, it could be.
I think it is when he gets
Amazing.
punched off the Mumakil. I think it's a Wilhelm scream.
It could be, yeah. And then we.
Also, let me just interject here before we skip past it. Have you boys noticed the VW logo, which is on these creatures?
No.
As in Volkswagen.
Yeah, I noticed it the first time I've seen it. I saw the film in the cinema. I've noticed it every time since. Let me see if I can find it for you, and we can put it on the Insta as well, because it's when you see it, it's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, please do. That sounds amazing.
It's quite amazing.
It's a bit baffling to hear VW in a Middle Earth scenario.
Yeah, it's behind one of the pilots of the Mumakil. Let me see if I can find it.
Sure.
But sorry, no, carry on while I do, and I'll send it through.
Yeah, Jenks, carry on, mate.
Now, Prior, you can take this one a second.
Okay, yeah, I got this. So,
Oh, cheers, Prior.
Big Mama is coming, and she wants her house back. She is annoyed.
Jesus Christ, Ben. Just for once,
leave him
do your
alone.
research.
And then he goes on the shield down the stairs, and it's amazing. You spot
In
it.
fairness, we have actually got a Legolas moment coming up,
We do have a Legolas moment.
but they haven't actually arrived yet. So let's talk about that.
Okay, yeah. Right, go on.
So yeah.
Big Mama.
Okay, so that not goodness me. So yeah, we've got this kind of desperate fight, but there seems to be a slight little turn in the tide,
Oh, that's
because
weird.
at the same time, we've obviously got the pirate ships coming in,
Yes, the Corsairs.
and it's quite nice, weirdly, to see a port.
Yeah,
We've hardly ever seen a port in the Lord of the Rings world.
well, it's true because the sea holds such significance, I suppose.
Yeah.
So it really is saved until the very last film, and I mean the proper significance hasn't even come yet. But
Yeah, and then Peter Jackson gets shot by an arrow.
he does. Lovely little cameo.
Is that true?
Yep,
yeah.
it's him. He's in quite a few of them actually.
He's in all of them.
That's amazing.
He's on the walls of Helm's Deep. He eats a carrot in Bree and gets shot by an arrow.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Gimli and Legolas and Aragorn are all stood there, which
Yeah,
is
and there's that wonderful quote: "Late as usual,
yeah.
pirate scum." It's
Um,
quite a surprise coming off there.
And then
The three of them.
yeah, and then it's just fantastic when they jump.
You lost your train of thought. Yeah, Melody. He went, yeah.
It's just fantastic
Oh, man, it's just
when
fantastic.
It's because I realise right now I'm merging two scenes together.
Oh, are you? Which ones?
I'm merging the scene where they get on the ships and kill all the pirates, and I'm also merging
yeah.
the scene where they get off the ships.
So Peter Jackson is only in the extendeds then in
Yep.
this film.
Yeah.
Oh, what a shame!
Mm.
What a shame. But yeah, no, you are right. He's one of the pirate captains.
Yeah.
But no, they're all dead by this point.
Yeah.
They've been swept away completely.
So they
And yeah, the three of them jump off, and then the orcs are like, yeah, it'd probably be all right.
Yeah.
And
Probably
then
should.
all of the army of the dead suddenly come pelting out in all their green goodness.
yeah, and then bang. I mean, that's pretty much the battle over, really. As soon
Yeah,
as-
I mean, they are like they're god mode, aren't
Yeah.
they? Cheat button.
and they destroy everything. And I
Yep.
suppose we need to talk about Legolas's moment here.
It's amazing. Best
Just for
moment ever.
Pryor.
It's not amazing, Prior. It defines gravity and physics.
It defines it.
Defines it, yeah.
it's
It talks about it a
against-
lot.
Yeah, it really gives it a
Well,
definition.
Legolas actually
and-
has a chat
It's just-
about physics whilst he's actually
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
He
He's
was-
like, well, actually, physics is it's this.
He's very much the Professor Proton of Middle Earth, so I mean, he does like to
Yes,
educate when he
He
can.
really is.
Is this thing? Does this include an elephant by any chance?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
So-
it does include some riding on certain parts of the element in
Element?
element.
Element.
elephant.
What is happening
Sorry, I'm
here?
thinking of Professor Proton. On certain parts of the elephant in a
Yeah, he does.
unfashionably.
So, Prior,
manner.
let me guess. You loved this moment.
Yeah, I did. I really did. This
Of course you did.
This was up there with the shield.
Well, this is it. This is the shield moment.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this for me is incredible, but I know you boys like to laugh about it. But it, for me, is an epic moment in this film that shows how acrobatic Legolas is and how incredibly ultimately powerful he is, because he is really powerful. He's extremely efficient at combat, and I know that you might think it defies the laws of physics, but
It does.
I feel
He
like
actually said defines, but
it does define it. But I feel like so do elves. So I mean, I think
he is an elf.
yeah, that's what I mean. They defy the laws of
Oh, right.
physics.
Oh,
But you
okay,
said
fine.
like
Okay.
pseudo-elves as if they were another...
Yeah, Legolas and the elves as well.
No, I meant like
Weirdly.
Legolas. What he does defies, but elves do ultimately. So
Right, yeah, fair
Okay,
enough,
well,
fair
the
enough.
thing is that Peter Jackson seems to have some sort of addiction to making Legolas defy gravity, because we
He's
had
great.
He does.
we had the shield moment, we have this moment, and then in the Battle of Five Armies, we have a stupid moment where a bridge
yeah.
is breaking down into
Yeah.
bits, and for some reason Legolas can jump up like some
Yeah, it's
kind
dreadful,
of
isn't it?
Sonic Super Mario stuff.
brilliant.
And again, that defies physics even more.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the pinnacle of the whole thing, isn't
Yeah.
it? But this
I think
one,
it's any excuse to get Orlando Bloom on ropes because he is quite terrible. Well, he's good in the end, but it takes him a lot of tries. If you've seen the outtakes of him
Yeah.
on ropes, it is hilarious.
that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He falls and he stumbles and he tumbles and he makes such a big deal out of it. He's like, "Oh no, that wasn't me. That was the way that this was set up. This was
Oh,
set
that's
up
great. I
properly."
didn't know that. That's
Classic
lovely.
Orlando though.
But yeah, pretty much this is the end of the battle. They have won.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but now we see them all just chopping down all of the orcs and stuff like that.
They sort of wash them away,
yeah,
don't they?
Éomer is looking for not Éomer. Éowyn is looking for Mary.
Go on, Chris.
On the battlefield and stuff like that. She then, the Witch King then drops down after having, just knocking down Theoden
Yeah,
and stuff, and then
horrible.
Éomer just goes head to head with him, and she
Éowyn.
Éowyn slices the head off a fell beast, which
Yeah.
is epic, and that the sound effect of
Oh, it's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that kind
it's a
of
dolphin.
that
It is a dolphin.
and then and we have just that fantastic mace.
It's brutal, isn't it?
It's rather large.
It is, and they wanted it bigger and bigger. Peter Jackson wasn't satisfied with a lot of the props that they came up with.
Yeah.
He wanted it super big, super imposing, super, terrifying, really, to look at.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you just imagine, like, she takes it on the shield at one point, and I know it shatters the shield, but I can't believe that.
Your wrist must be destroyed.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I know it, and it does sort of break her arm as well.
Yeah.
But I can't see how she isn't like thrown across the field. He's so strong, and he's a monster of a man. It's dreadful, really.
But then we have that fantastic moment where Mary just stabs him in
Harry
the
finds his
back of
bravery.
the knee, and then that fantastic line, well, I am, and he says, "No man can kill me," and she says, "I am no man," and then does that scream, and that the score just lifts up, and his helmet just cracks in on itself,
Yeah.
and then bam.
It used to terrify me watching him like fidget as
Yeah.
Oh, really?
the helmet was like compressing his head, because I thought, oh my
Yeah.
god, that's terrifying.
It's like a black hole or something,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's
it
sucking
is.
it in.
Yeah, and
But also, there's that line that he says, "Don't come between a fell beast and his."
well, he
The
says
Nazgul and his
Nazgul
prey,
and
yeah.
his
Sorry,
prey.
that's it. Yeah. But then so easily defeated.
What, the fell beast?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose when it's like anything though, when it's not in its natural habitat, it's in flight. Like when it's in flight,
Oh,
it's
sure.
terrifying.
And
but when it's on the ground,
let's be honest, it never expected that to happen.
No,
Yeah.
not when it's down.
Yeah.
When
Yeah, that's
the
true.
enemy is essentially defeated. Like Theoden is down, his horse has been it's crushing his body
Yeah.
and crushing him to death. Yeah, I don't think it sort of comes out of nowhere,
Yeah, but then obviously we see the passing of Theoden, which was
Very sad.
beautifully acted,
Oh, Bernard Hill.
and
Lovely
then
actor.
Erwin kind of faints after it, and
Yeah.
which I mean, let's be honest, that's kind of understandable. There must have been so much stress. She must be so tired after
Yeah.
what just happened as well, and just hits the deck, and you hear this scream when Éomer finds her, which I think
Yeah.
is one of the best and most believable screams that I've ever heard in movie history.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I love the way the actor plays just that that scream? Because obviously he didn't know that she was riding into battle.
No, of
Yeah.
course.
And he's
of course,
so
absolutely right.
shocked just to find her and to see her, what he thinks is dead.
Yeah,
That she went against what he said. I mean, that must be the most heartbreaking thing to see.
Yeah.
absolutely.
To
Yeah.
see your sister like that. It's just like, wow.
Yeah, all the shocks and all the stress of the day. And you're right. It's a wonderful. It's Carl Urban, of course,
Yeah.
isn't it? Playing Aomer. Lovely, lovely stuff. Is he? Does Theoden declare him king at any point in this? Because he does in the books.
No, he does. He doesn't in the films. No.
Right. I think it's just sort of assumed that he will become the king in the films. Then.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's an awful. It's obviously it's a big day for everyone involved. There's an awful lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, to be able to portray it in that moment is something pretty special, isn't it?
Yeah.
All this stuff
and we,
going on.
We see some beautiful scenes where Merry and Pippin are reunited. We then see some. I don't know if I completely am down with the Faramir and Eowyn kind of scenes where they fall in love over
Yeah.
the space of a minute.
Yeah, the houses of healing. I mean, that's supposed to be over a longer period of time. It makes more sense in the
Yeah.
books where everything happens
It
slower.
makes a lot more sense in the books.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, the timeline is condensed enough. Like they march on Mordor the next day, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then we have this little meeting
Yeah,
now on what they're expecting to do, what they where they think Frodo is,
yeah.
and they realise that they have to do a diversion.
A diversion.
Do you-
Remember recording that?
Do you mean a
boys?
diversion? A diversion? Because you're English. Everyone in this is doing an English accent, so you'd speak it in the English way. A diversion. You wouldn't say a
In fairness, I think I
diversion.
say diversion.
Oh,
I say diversion.
Chris, off.
That's
Right.
wow. That's a real shame.
Just leaving that in the little click. there.
He's clicking away there as though it's
Yeah.
going to help me.
It will help you, mate. Trust me.
As though
1,
it's going to
2.
help me.
There you are.
But yeah, and then obviously they decide then to march on the Black Gate. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, how many men do they have altogether now? Is it?
I mean,
Is
it's
it-
it's really not much.
But I think-
it's what. Go on.
For some reason I've got in my head that it's 10,000.
I don't think it's that many. I think it's closer to 1,000. It's on that end of the scale. And when you think about that circle that you see encircled by the orcs, it's a very small number.
That's true.
Um,
Let's meet in the middle.
What you think 5,000?
Yeah, let's meet in the middle. Let's be mates.
You know what? Fair enough.
You're,
Let's call
you're
it a deal.
Googling, aren't you?
I'm going to go out there and say it's just 2
I
men.
really appreciate that.
It's not 2 men.
Yeah.
But even though we know that
We know that
we
it's
know
not.
that there's.
Chris, it's 2 men.
Right.
Oh, here we go, mate. I'm gonna give you some numbers. You ready?
Go on.
500 to 700 Gondorian soldiers and 400 to 600 Rohirrim soldiers. Also eagles.
Ah.
Wow. All right, Chris.
That's Wikipedia for
You
you.
take that one, Chris. Go on.
I will.
Take it and run, mate. Take it and run.
Yeah, no, I'm
Run.
pretty confident in what okay. I'll see you boys later.
But yeah,
I was closer.
imagine if you just ran off, right? But yeah, and then they decide to march on the Black Gate, and that is
Yeah.
we see them marching out of the gates of Minas Tirith, and then really are mainly on Frodo, Sam's, and
Yeah, let's catch up with Frodo and Sam because understandably, we've left them behind.
I think
we
we got to the moment where we got past Minas Morgul, didn't we?
We did, because we talked about them shooting those 2 scenes wildly
Yeah.
out of
So
sequence.
Sam's
where
left then.
Sam has left, and Frodo is about to enter Shelob's lair. Which is, it's a terrifying bit
Yeah,
of film.
I got
It's
so
a really
scared.
interesting thing. Yeah, absolutely. It's a really interesting thing. How these things always seem to come in sort of groups, because think of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets,
Yeah.
which came out in 2002, right? And had Aragog, of course, the great spider, and Weta were really, really conscious of how good and impressive Aragog was, and they wanted to top it. And literally two fantasy stories have come along 1 year after the next, which feature a massive spider that's supposed to terrify people. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
And then it's like the Hobbit trilogy comes along, which is supposed to feature a really impressive dragon, and then Game of Thrones comes along, which is also supposed to feature a really impressive dragon.
right.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's just weird how it turns out, but it spurs them on, obviously.
Yeah, very true.
And also, Peter Jackson is a massive arachnophobic.
Yeah.
So he
Wow.
wanted it to terrify him, and like he drew on his own fears for what Shelob would look like.
That's big. Wow.
It's really interesting stuff. And I know that games and stuff have expanded upon Shelob's background, but in terms of the books and the films, we don't really know that much about her.
Yeah,
except that she's this
Shadow of
ancient
War has
creature.
made her in. It's a female that has a certain ring that can
so that
transform into Shelob, which just makes no sense to me.
It is an invention of the game, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think those games are, they're playing and doing whatever they want, which is absolutely fine.
Shadow of War is amazing though.
It's a great game,
But
They both are.
But yeah,
those.
we go into Shelob's lair, and I mean, in literally a couple of
a
seconds,
nightmare.
Gollum just disappears,
Yeah,
and then
and you quickly realise this has been his plan from the very start.
and I love that we
Separate them.
realise with Frodo what Gollum's plan actually is.
Yeah,
Because all we hear earlier is the spider and Sheol. Oh, interesting enough, it is called. Gollum does call the spider a she, so maybe there is some possibility. And
oh no, the orcs do as well. I think it's acknowledged that she is a she.
yeah,
But I think in the same way that they're thinking, or Tolkien maybe was thinking along the Black Widow sort of line. So
Possibly,
the female
yeah.
is the really deadly one, maybe. But it's definitely like we know it's a female spider, but the inventions of Shadow of War, like that it's a person, it's an invention. That's an invention. That's where it sort of comes from.
but we have this fantastic another chase scene in this film
Through the dark,
with
only the light of Arendelle.
and then getting stuck in the web. Oh, I remember when he's slowly cutting through the web whilst being stuck in it. I was on the edge of my seat. It's like, wow, what is going to happen here?
Yeah, and I think that's the first time. It feels like a weird thing to say, but that's the first time that I've ever felt that like web, as in web that could trap a human, that's realistic. Like I look at that and I'm like, my God, if I got caught in that would be it.
Yeah.
I'd be
I was
in big
about
trouble.
to say, how many people's fears started to become being trapped in a web, and then you have that nightmare where you can't run. I had that kind of feeling with this, that awful
because he's suspended off the floor as well.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah, it's quite weird. And then he falls out of that little hole.
Yeah,
and
covered in web still.
Yeah, and then we have that fantastic moment where Elijah Wood does some sort of acting by getting stabbed by the stinger.
He's been doing a lot of that.
Oh, with the frothing.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
my
horrible.
impression is just.
I mean, yeah.
Then,
he does like a comedy, knocked unconscious and falling, doesn't he? Like fainting.
Yes, slight orgasm. It's it's interesting, but then Sam is there with the light, and then the score just brings it
and
back
Sting
up.
as well.
Yeah.
He's got Frodo's sword, but of course, the famous thing about that shot, the shot where the arm comes into shot holding the sword.
Oh yeah, it's not
Sean Astin. It's Peter Jackson.
Wow.
It's Peter Jackson's arm holding the sword.
That's
How wicked is
amazing.
that?
Yeah.
That's
Just
so
a
good.
really cool little
And then
thing.
this
But yeah,
fantastic little fight scene between him
it's wonderful.
and Smeagol.
Shelob.
That's-
But it's a wonderful thing for Sam, because Sam, obviously, when we last saw Sam going away defeated and pathetic, in fairness, we saw him on the steps as well. He found the lambus bread. More lambus
But then
bread. He found it on the steps, and
anger that
he
comes-
realised what he'd done.
The anger that
Yeah.
he crushes the bread and gets so angry. He's just like, wow.
And it's all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, because Sam has seen this pathetic figure. And when he left Frodo, it was the height of that, because he was weeping, he was blubbering, he was a mess. He was very much the least of the trio, Smeagol and Frodo and him. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh my God, I don't want this guy I don't want to cross this guy, because he's, all of a sudden, he is livid. And then, he appears with the elven sword and with the light of Arendelle.
Yeah.
Like a figure out of a song or something,
And just
Amazing.
before this as well, obviously Frodo has had a little skirmish with Gollum, and Gollum has fallen down this, never-ending cavern that we think, because we can't see the bottom.
Yeah,
And
so we wonder what's happened to him.
yeah, and he's just been completely taken out of it. God knows how he did survive, but yeah, and then
He's very good at surviving, isn't he?
He has the same tools as the Emperor, I think.
yes,
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's actually a clone, the next Gollum that we see.
Yeah,
but we
there
won't
is.
find that out until the comics later on.
Exactly. We won't be told in the film. you know
No.
how much.
Gollum's also got a massive fleet as well, but
Yeah.
don't worry
For
about
some
that. It's
reason,
probably
no one knows, and for some reason, they're all there's 1,000 people on each ship, but it's never
Yeah.
explained. It's never actually said in the film what is going on. No, we don't get told that at all. It's all absolutely pointless.
Gollum.
Just to be clear, Peter Jackson, well, with the exception of The Hobbit, he knows how to do a trilogy. So we're
Yeah.
Well,
it's all in
apparently,
Jackson.
apparently
true,
Gollum
true.
created Peter Jackson as well. So that's,
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
in
is every
fairness.
voice inside your head.
Oh,
He's all the Sith,
this all
mate.
makes
Yeah.
sense. This all makes sense.
Gollum is all the
But
ring
yeah,
bearers.
then Frodo gets taken by now interestingly, which I
Go
love
on.
about this little 10-minute segment when Frodo gets taken into what's the name of the castle that he gets taken into?
He's in the Tower of... Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Joy?
The Tower of Joy.
He just
Yeah.
goes up there.
I
And
don't
Magic
want it. Has he got the ring? I want it. I want the
It
ring.
sees Lyanna Stark just up there, just having a baby, and they go, next room,
Yeah.
not this one.
He just sort of... Everything stops and he just backs out and goes, oh...
Sorry.
Sorry.
Real Peter Griffin moment. there.
Okay.
but,
Better be hitting the old dusty trail.
What I do love, though, is that this is a mix of Mordor orcs, but also Uruks as well.
Yes, that's right.
And this is why they don't get on, and they have this.
Oh, it's the Tower of Cirith Ungol. It's
That's
the tower
it.
that guards it.
Cirith Ungol.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
But yeah, there's actual Uruks there,
Yeah.
which I find quite interesting.
Yeah, that they've made it there. I find that funny. That why are they in Mordor?
Yeah, but then
Very strange.
they all just kill each other, which is again
Yeah, out of their greed.
showing the kind of. I mean, this is why Sauron falls. This is the reason, because
Yeah.
he doesn't actually have loyalty or anything like that. His troops are completely just they're disorganized, completely, and it's just all
Wild.
yeah, they are wild, yeah.
Yeah,
And Sauron
they are.
and Sauron is just ultimately there for power, not for actual, loyalty or anything like that compared to Aragorn. And they all just kill each other. And there's this fantastic moment where Sam walks in, and again the score is beautiful. Just him kind of
It's tense. Isn't it?
slightly going in, and then you see that a couple of them have survived, and Sam does those 3 kills and finishes it off with, and that's for my old gaffer.
Oh, so good.
I love that so much.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in the cinema, and it's one of those things where this film does it so often. Do you ever do that thing where, as a film is unfolding before you and people are saying lines, you feel where the lines ought to go?
Yeah.
And this series of films does it for me more than any others, where I'm like, I sort of predict what they're going to say, and then when they say it, I'm like, this is just perfection.
Yeah. Sean Astin.
And everyone sort of feels it.
Yeah, Sean Astin's performance in this film is easily his best one.
Ugh. Yeah. I think from the end of The Two Towers, from his speech onwards, he becomes a real valuable actor and player in the whole
Yeah,
thing.
if not
Definitely.
the most valuable in this film.
Because there's moments like that which keep the heart of the whole thing, right?
Exactly.
He's still very much a Shire hobbit, whereas Frodo is, he's teetering on the edge of inhumanity, as it were.
And this is what this next little scene where he finds Frodo and he holds the ring. And I want to get both your opinions on this because
Yeah, go on. This is interesting.
I think this will be quite an interesting conversation where Sam holds out the ring and doesn't give it to Frodo for a split second. He slightly edges back. Now, do you believe that's because, I know my opinion, do you believe that's because Sam, even though this has just been a moment, has been slightly taken by the ring and slightly has that kind of temptation? Or do you believe it's because Sam knows what this will do to Frodo if he gives it him back? He knows what Frodo's like when he has the ring.
Yeah.
Prior, go first, because again, I've got a strong opinion.
Okay, well, I was going to say the exact thing that you said for the second one, where he kind of, this is just what I got from the film, but that he was a bit hesitant because he knows how he last was when he last had the ring, and it's kind of that, do we want to go through that again? This is, I've just saved you. Are you going to turn on me again and stab me in the back? Is this going to be an awful moment? That's what I got from it, and I thought that was Sam being more wise and more having his leader head on and thinking, yeah, this is my best friend, of course I want to save him, but is this going to do him worse? That's kind of what I saw.
Yeah, no, I agree with Pryor. I have to say, I never thought that Sam, to be honest, at any point, I don't think he's ever really been tempted by the ring. I think it's like an addiction thing for Frodo. The question in my mind, as much as anything else, is what do you think, or if there was some way that Sam could have not given the ring back, because Frodo thinks that it's gone at this point,
Yeah.
right? Frodo thinks that the orcs have taken it. So if Sam was somehow able to fabricate a plan where they sort of chase the ring into Mordor to try and retrieve it, even though he's got it, would Frodo still have felt the pull? Would he still have felt the addiction?
I think he would have, especially at this point, because it's been what? At this point, it's a year.
That he's had it.
Yeah, it's been a year since he's had it, and I think he would have started. Maybe not straight at that point, because it's literally been a couple of seconds when Sam's walked in. But I think
he'd start to sense it.
Yeah, as they walked, he would have not trusted Sam and would have gone, "Oh, wait, do you have it?" What? He would have felt that slight kind of inhibition in his head to kind of question Sam. And I think that's the power of the ring, that he
You know what, I was just, sorry to interrupt, but I was just thinking of a common theme here that I've found in characters. Sam, to me here, is another Captain America. I know you're going to go, oh God, here we go again. But listen to me when I say this, okay? He is, in my opinion, okay, the arc here of being quite seemingly useless in a sense, and kind of what is he going to bring to the table is what I felt with, both of the characters. And then going on, he's now so pure of heart that he can't be tainted by the ring, in my opinion. And I think that pure of heart is what actually gets them to where we will be in a moment. And he's the saving grace in this scenario, in my opinion.
I completely agree with you there, Pryor. I actually do.
No, I can really see that.
I hate it, but I think you've actually made a fantastic point. It is that pureness overriding the film, destroying this darkness, because if you can't tempt someone that's pure, if there's nothing that can manifest inside them, then how can you beat them?
Yeah, definitely.
And
that, thinking of that, Jenks, that makes me think of Harry and Dumbledore saying that love will always be the stronger, because Harry will never be tempted to join Voldemort because of what he's done to him and because of the love that he feels for his parents. And it's the same thing with Sam. He won't be tempted by the ring because of the love that he feels for the Shire and for Frodo and for that way of life. And that is his superpower, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose if you put it in a Game of Thrones, it's like,
we're doing the rounds. We may as well. We'll do Star Wars in a minute.
The one person this hits with is Tyrion. That as much as Tyrion hasn't been the perfect character, when he gets to the end, and he's supported Dany now for a couple of years, been on this journey with her, but when he sees what she does, he still can't let go. He's just like, no, I've supported you for so long. I believed in everything that you've done. You've even killed my best friend, but this I just cannot do. And he throws down the Hand of the King badge. I think it is. And again, at the end, Tyrion has the choice and creates this new world that they live in and stuff. And again, the pureness, Game of Thrones is slightly, more skew-iffed, but there is that slight pureness inside Tyrion, inside Captain America, inside Harry, that will always win. And Sam's probably the biggest kind of example of that in the movies.
I think you're right.
In the movies that we've talked about. But
and isn't it interesting that Sam is a supporting character in this?
Yeah, even
and
more
yet
so.
He's so crucial to the story in that sense. Like Captain America, obviously, it's his film.
Yeah.
And so it's the story of his sort of his character arc, whereas Sam's character arc is much more on the sidelines.
Yeah.
While all this huge stuff is happening, he's the regular everyday person who gets dragged in, and somehow, in the same way that the people who are not seeking power are the best leaders, he grows as a person and he becomes this sort of character.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Absolutely, yeah. And then they leave.
Very good, Pryor.
And then they leave.
Thank you.
And we get these little moments. they get accidentally pushed into the army of
the
Mordor
Orc
and
patrol.
stuff like that, which
they're on their way to the gate.
which I did think was like, okay, well, this is just something slightly stopping us in our tracks. But the big moment after this is it's they drop all the gear and it's their journey towards Mount Doom. It's them dropping everything. It's the slight lines that Frodo aims to Sam and stuff like that. It's just beautiful moments whilst you see the eye in the background completely fixed on the black gate. And then obviously Gollum just turns up. Well, no, actually, just before this, we have this moment where Frodo, just collapses. And and again, we have a fantastic Sean Astin Sam moment, a Sam speech where he says, I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. Which is probably, in terms of script-wise, probably the most famous part of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
It probably is, and it's probably the simplest. Like, it's not an inherently powerful bit of script writing, is it? Really, I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you.
Yeah.
But everything that's happened to them to this point, and obviously we know that Sam in the Tower of Cirith Ungol, he offered to take the ring. I could carry it for a while, and then that's corrupted in Frodo's mind. But he can. This is it. This is what Sam does. He's the supporter. He's the team player. He's the one that gets you there, even if he's not the protagonist of the whole thing. And he recognizes his role, and he's like, I'll do anything for it. And again, it's love.
Yeah.
He finds this strength to carry Frodo in this state, even in the face of certain death, where they're both similar to Theoden. They're thinking, this is it. We're not coming back. We just have to do our bit now.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is that.
It's imbued with all of that. Sean Astin again showing his quality, the very highest.
Yeah, showing his quality. A chance for Sean Astin to show his quality. But yeah, like I cried at that moment in the cinema. I remember.
It's beautiful. And the score there is wonderful.
I just went because seeing Frodo, I just thought Frodo's not going to make it. This isn't it. And then for Sam again to make this gesture, it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
There is such support. And then, he's carrying him up the hill to the mountain.
As it's flaming and exploding around them.
And then obviously Gollum turns up.
Yeah.
I remember in the films that I was always just like, Jesus, right, okay. They can't catch a bit of luck here, can they?
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the last thing you need, isn't it? Let's be honest.
But the main thing is, they have this fight and it's real tooth and nail kind of savage kind of fight. And Frodo manages to run away and you see him enter the doorway.
Yeah.
And just before we get to that, obviously we need to jump over. And the army has now arrived at the Black Gate.
Yeah, they're providing the distraction that allows them to get to Mount Doom, of course.
Thoughts on the Mouth of Sauron?
I love the Mouth of Sauron. I think it's so
good. Welcome.
Just the way it's terrifying. The way that they magnify the mouth.
Yeah.
It's such a simple idea, but it's vile. It's
Did you see originally that the mouth was meant to be horizontal?
Oh, is that right? Oh, yeah, that wouldn't have worked, would it?
Yeah.
That would have been weird.
Do you know what? It's one of those things, when people say you change one thing of a human body and it can be creepier than changing a whole lot of things. It's the huge mouth, the teeth that are like kind of...
It's horrible.
Razor. Oh my God. It still gives me creeps
I love
to
it.
this day watching it. Yeah.
And
brilliant work.
I love them because originally they had the slight idea of bringing Sauron out at that moment, and then they were like, no, that just won't work. We'll bring him out later on.
Yeah, this whole Sauron thing is they really struggled with this, didn't they?
So then,
how to handle
obviously,
him.
Aragorn chops off the mouth of Sauron's head, goes back, and we have this final speech, slight reminiscent of Theoden's speech, knowing you are going to your doom, but sacrificing yourself for a greater good, sacrificing yourself to be a diversion.
There's a bit of Braveheart in there as well.
There is a slight... it's slightly like that. We are going to our death, but we are doing this together. We're doing it for our land, for man.
He presents it as resistance, though. He says that it won't be... It is not this day. It's this day that we fight. to rouse them and to rally them, behind him.
Yeah.
And you see Aragorn, and just imagine the journey that he's come from the man who was sitting in the corner in the inn, mysterious, completely alone. He operated alone. All of a sudden, he is the king, and he's leading these men into this battle where they're hopelessly outnumbered. Yeah. And he has to inspire this bravery in them, and yet he has it within himself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Phenomenal.
And then that moment where he just gets off the horse and is staring, and it goes slightly slow-mo and stuff.
Oh, when Sauron talks to him.
Yeah, so we're never shown this properly.
It just whispers, isn't it?
Yeah, and I believe he mentioned something about Arwen.
Oh, in my head, he only ever says, he just says Aragorn, Elisar. And it seems to be almost a spell that he's trying to cast.
Is it in
Aragorn.
The books that he mentioned something more?
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't think he would mention Arwen in the books, but he would. Sauron is always trying to sort of
manipulate,
disarm, and almost recruit, and absolutely manipulate Aragorn.
Yeah.
To try and because he still sees Isildur and the weakness of men.
Yeah.
Which Aragorn doesn't really suffer from at all. But yeah, it's that weird slow-mo-y, weird hissing Sauron voice coming out, which then it boils down to absolute silence, and then he has the famous line. Who's going to say it?
Frodo.
Oh my goodness!
And that is a moment of weeping.
Yeah.
As he charges forward on his own.
But you can see him weep. That's what's amazing. You see his eyes ball up, and he is so close, and he just goes in on his own. He doesn't even say the word charge.
No, he leads by example, and that really is the moment where I feel that he feels that it's a sacrifice.
Yeah,
he even if they somehow win the day, he's like, I'm not going to survive, and I don't care because this is the right thing to do.
Completely. And
God, the power of it.
What I always
huge.
find interesting is that the second people to go are Merry and Pippin. Because they are charging for Sam and Frodo, which obviously they've had a massive relationship. They're from the same place, and they realise exactly the same. Okay, this is it. And then everyone charges in, and bang, they hit. And so then we walk in with Sam.
Oh back at Mount Doom.
Into Mount Doom, and you just see Frodo there standing, facing away. In silence. You've got that beautiful score, which is slightly going from like minor to augmented, kind of weird.
Yeah. It's very threatening, isn't it? Because Frodo is in this state of turmoil.
Yeah.
Even the way that he says, do you remember? I can picture it almost note for note. I'm here, Sam. He said it like that. Like that. That's almost a musically orchestrated bit of speech in a funny sort of way. He's in absolute turmoil.
It's like it's just pure confusion from Sam.
Yeah.
He's been ripped apart and pulled from both ends, like he has no idea what he's going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. He's fighting with his addiction, but he's at the moment that he could free himself if he can find the willpower. Yeah. He's trying to sort of summon it up. But oh goodness me, it's and Frodo, Sam, is thrown into the Elrond role here with Isildur, and he's begging him to do it, to destroy the ring, because this is the moment they've been for 3 films. We've been building towards this moment of Frodo actually in the Mountain of Fire. And, Frodo can't bring himself to do it. And it's that classic thing of, like, if you're on top of the highest diving board and you haven't decided to go initially, you're probably not going to go, Yeah. It's that classic thing. If you're thinking about it that much, you're in big, big trouble. But then, luckily, the old babysitter shows up. Gollum's back, boys. And he clouts Sam on the back of the head.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we mentioned that.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's one of my favourite things. I'd only just remembered it as well.
Yeah, he's back again.
But let's take a moment for this last scrap between Frodo and Gollum.
Yeah.
Because they went through a few iterations for this, and how they wanted it done. Because in the books, Gollum literally slips and falls into Mount Doom. And there's like that's bit like he bites off Frodo's finger, of course, and then he's got the ring. but he slips and falls. And then they had a take where Frodo deliberately pushes him over and goes with him as though he's trying to kill Gollum.
Yeah.
And then they ditch that in favor of the one which we got, which of course is them Frodo trying to get the ring back off him and them both falling over in their fight, which for me it's great. Like that's the perfect middle ground, and they made the right choice with that.
I think with that decision, it just shows that weirdly, and I suppose it is quite sad, that they are both equals at this point. Gollum and Frodo have become exactly equal, and that they both have this pure want for just this ring, that it actually, disrupts their, where they are, where they're fighting, if they're close to the edge. That the ring is just more important than actually their surroundings, and that they both go with it. I mean, it's great because it just shows. It shows that even though they are at that pinnacle point, it has got Frodo. It has just got him. There is nothing you can do. And the only way it can be destroyed is if they go over. And the fact that they go over together, again, like I said, just shows that they are equal parts in this now.
Yeah, that's a really lovely point. I hadn't thought of that. Pryor, what did you think as you watched it? Because you wouldn't have been aware of the different versions.
I wasn't at all. I'm absolutely amazed that there was different versions, and I just thought how funny it'd be to see Gollum slipping. I think that'd be brilliant.
Well, they thought it was anticlimactic, which I suppose it would have been.
It would be, definitely. But if you just see this kind of like,
a lovely comedy fall. Yeah. It would raise the mood a little bit, which would be nice.
And then if he was suspended in the air and he looked around both ways and then fell, like in the kind of...
or his body went first and his head followed. Yeah, absolutely.
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
they should.
But how did you feel seeing the cut as it ended up?
Oh, it was incredible. I was just completely torn, because it still doesn't feel like Frodo ever did the right thing. It doesn't feel like Frodo...
he lucked out, really.
That's it. There's no redemption there for him, and it's all Sam's moment, in my opinion. He carried him there, and he brought him to this point, and it's this childish feud that I always saw. It always seemed childish to me between Gollum and Frodo, and it didn't feel like he came out of it the hero. It was always like, well, that was just an accident, and it was luck that it happened the way that it did and that the ring went down, but Frodo didn't want it to happen that way.
No, absolutely. And it's interesting you say childish, actually, because you're absolutely right. Like, that's how it sort of seems. It's in that classic way that a rational and a conservative with a small c member of society would look at like a heroin addict, let's say, or another addict. They'd look at them and they'd be like, well, why haven't you got any self-control? Why can you not stop? But it's in the same way that it is with a drug. The ring it's caused like this chemical imbalance in both of them, where it makes them obsessive, completely obsessed with it. And so they have this sort of childish scrap where they're reduced to like there's no grandeur to it at all. Even though they're inside this volcano, obviously they're just going at each other with their bare hands to try and get hold of this thing. It's their lowest moment, really, is like I know that they're not as human beings, but like it's their lowest moment of humanity, really.
Definitely.
I think when you slightly compare it to Smeagol's fight with Deagle, it has slight echoes of that desperation, but the thing is,
it is desperation,
that it didn't grab Deagle as much as it has grabbed Frodo, which is why, I mean, technically Frodo didn't win out of the fight. There wasn't a winner. So I mean, who knows? Frodo's been lucky twice to knock him down and make him fall, but I suppose if you follow your train of thought, Jenks, which is that they were equals to both go over, there was that slight sliver of light more in Frodo, but that he was able to grab on. Yeah, he didn't go with the ring. There was
Gollum was still the darker of the
because
two.
Gollum was holding the ring at that point, and Frodo went for it. And then at that, I mean, cliffhanger, literally.
Yeah.
Frodo makes a snap decision and thinks no, and just holds on. Which
Yeah.
Yeah, well, even in the lava when Gollum's dying, he's
happy.
He's happy as
Yeah.
Larry. He's so
got his
delighted.
ring. It's brilliant.
It's unbelievable.
That's the
And he tries to, as he's submerged, he tries to hold on and he reaches out for it.
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
And then you see in his eyes slightly for like half a second that he realizes what's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's in he's in a haze, isn't he,
Yeah.
essentially? He's in a haze at that point.
But then Sam brings him back up, and they managed.
Well, let's talk about that moment quickly, because that really follows on straight away from that. Frodo is hanging over the side, and Sam says to him, don't you let go. Because Frodo you can see through some witchcraft of filmmaking that Frodo is still tied to the ring down below when it's still intact. And Frodo is not, even though he's holding on, his body is holding on, his spirit and his mind is down there with the ring. And it's only when it's destroyed that he puts his hand out for Sam to grab hold. Right? You really can see that. That's quite clear.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a spectacular bit of sort of character work by Elijah Wood, but also that they were able to portray that Frodo was still so bound, I think is unbelievable. And it's Sam who again saves the day. Sam just continuously saving the day here. Again, he manages to reach out and grab Frodo's horrible, bloody stump of a hand, and manages to hold on and drag him back over.
I forgot that he was covered in blood, and I thought you were just going, his
Yeah.
horrible blood.
Well, yeah. The first grab, which is quite slippy, is just.
It reminded me of Chamber of Secrets when Ron's got a sweaty hand and he's trying to get back in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. You're all sweaty.
Look, these
Great
comparisons, they make perfect sense.
You're
And it's an
sweaty.
equal moment of import in the film.
I'd love it if Sam said that. Just
Oh, you're so sweaty, Mr. Frodo.
don't you let go. Reach. You're so sweaty. Well, I am in a fucking volcano, Sam.
Okay. It's a real shame.
That's so
Oh, do you think
difficult.
he's only sweating because of the volcano? He's not like stressed at this point. He's fine, really.
It's just very
Just a bit
hot.
hot.
Yeah, they both get out and they have that lovely leap onto
Oh,
a
yeah.
rock. But at the same time, we now jump over. I mean, this bit in the film is very back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah,
we now
yeah.
jump over and, all our heroes are fighting now tooth and nail. They know they're going to lose.
The Eagles have arrived as well at this point.
The
The Eagles arrive slightly before the ring is destroyed.
yes.
Because Pippin sees them, doesn't he? The Eagles are
So,
coming.
but just before the Eagles arrive, we have this fight between Aragon
Oh,
and
yeah.
a troll. Now, Weeks, I know you know this, but Pryor, I
do.
don't know if you know, or
Pryor, you'll be fascinated by this.
any of our listeners know. But the fight that was choreographed and filmed between Aragorn and this troll was not actually meant to be a troll. It was actually meant to be Sauron. It was meant to be
in his form
Yeah.
from the prologue.
exactly, yeah.
God.
That was meant to be the Sauron, and there's some slight, not fully CGI'd versions of it, but some slight artwork of it and it being done. And they completely went against it, which I think is the absolute right call. And they completely took Sauron out, because that would then put Sauron at the same level as our characters and stuff like that during this fight. And I think at the end,
Yeah, he should still be outside.
yeah, at the end of the day, Sauron still believes that he has won. He will never lose. He doesn't even need to stoop as low to go down and join in the battle. He is Sauron the Deceiver. He doesn't do that. And that's what originally was meant to happen.
That's amazing.
Which I'm so glad that was taken out. But
So am I.
still those moments where you see Viggo Mortensen fighting that scene, he's acting that scene thinking that he is fighting Sauron.
Wow.
So it's
That's
quite
incredible.
interesting when you see that. But amazingly, the desperation that's still shown, you pick it up as desperation of trying to stay alive,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
of just trying to keep this diversion going so that Frodo and Sam can have the most time as possible. But obviously, if it is Sauron, you can read it completely as, wow, he's taking on the Deceiver, the Necromancer. He is taking on that god almost. Well, he is.
Yeah.
He is. He's higher than anybody else in there. Well, Galadriel slightly different, but yeah. So I love that moment's there, and then obviously the eagles appear, giving you slight.
The eagles finally appear.
They give you slight hope, but still, I mean, let's be honest, 6 eagles aren't really going to do much.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then obviously, as soon as that ring falls,
Yeah,
you see the drop of his tower. It crumbles, and then we go to a slow motion, just looking at our characters. And this is the most beautiful thing ever. I'm sorry, I'm talking quite a lot, but
No, it's fine.
but there is that celebration and pure joy in all of the characters' eyes, and then suddenly it switches and changes.
Yeah. When the mountain explodes.
The mountain explodes, and they all realise, oh my god, Frodo did finish it, but is he dead? Is that the end of him?
Yeah. Have we just seen the moment when he dies?
Yeah, which I think is beautifully done by every actor that's shown.
Yeah, it's Billy Boyd is the one who stands out
Yeah.
for me. His is the face that sticks in my mind for that moment.
Yeah,
And as a secondary, Ian McKellen. After that, because there's that you're right, they're in absolute wild celebration and joy and shock, I suppose, because I'm not sure if any of them ever really thought it could happen. And it's suddenly, goodness, what a roller coaster.
yeah,
They suddenly think, and in fairness, it's a miracle that they managed to escape the mountain, because they make that crazy leap and then they find a high point, and they're able to survive long enough that the eagles can get to them.
yeah. And then we have a fantastic little final little duologue between Frodo and Sam, just speaking about life. Because, I mean, in my opinion, I think both characters think that's it.
Yeah,
We're dying on the edge.
They're surrounded by lava.
Yeah. There's no way of us getting out of this. We're just going to die. But if we're going to die, let's bring up these fantastic memories of the place that we love and we did this for.
Yeah.
Which I think is
Like a last prayer.
Yeah,
It really kind of rounds off this bit of the film, because it goes back to the Shire, talking about the Shire again, and that really kind of ties all these 3 films together for me. It's like, oh yeah, the Shire. You almost forget about the Shire because of all this chaos and destruction that's going on around them, and you're like, these 2 hobbits are from the Shire, and they've just done this monumentous task, and it's just like amazing.
yeah.
#Jenks.
Great word you just used them.
Dropped it in there for you,
And
mate.
I completely agree with you. And in my opinion, this is the first ending of the film.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
This is the first ending, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles are just shown taking them and leaving, and then bang, they just finish the film.
Yeah.
It would be understandable to me, but then, in a kind of nod to the Fellowship of the Ring, Frodo wakes up in Rivendell, and there he is, and everybody walks in.
I mean, we're in Minas Tirith now, just to be clear.
Are we?
In Fellowship of the Ring, he wakes up in Rivendell, but it's in Minas Tirith.
Well,
because Aragorn's about to get crowned.
It's a nod. It's a nod.
It's a nod.
to that scene, and everyone comes in.
Wakes up in Riverdale.
Riven.
Sorry.
Archie and all his
I've
friends.
had a few
Archie,
drinks, lads. You know what I'm saying? Just play the game
God
right.
almighty.
Play the game.
He's a monster. Look, can we take a moment just because this is probably the most hotly by those not in the know. This is the most hotly contested theory.
Go on.
Why didn't they just get the Eagles to drop the ring into Mount
Right.
Doom? Right. Go on then. Where do we start?
So
who wants to
So
start?
the Eagles are a very
Jenks is
the
upset.
Eagles are a very proud race. Gandalf knows this. Okay, and there is a head of the Eagles which I've completely forgotten the name of because
Gwaihir.
I'm here. Yeah.
No,
Weird-
Gwaihir, the
Weird
Wind
thing
Lord.
to
is
say
his
to
name.
me. I am here. You can see me. We're on
Mate,
Skype.
I'm here. I hate
Prior,
everything
what's he
about this.
kicking off about here? I don't know.
I can't do
I
this.
don't know what's
I can't
kicking
do
off.
this.
Anyway, but
Oh.
yeah, he is a very proud man, a very proud bird, but yeah, they're not really allowed to use the eagles that much. Like they use it once in The Hobbit,
They have a token, don't they? They can have a yearly token.
but because they are such a higher being compared to men, there isn't a great relationship as well between Gandalf and the Eagles and men and the Eagles. I believe I'm right.
You always are.
You
No,
are, mate.
I'm
Well done.
just saying I believe. I don't know if it's
Okay.
true, but but yeah. Well, what do you guys think?
Prior, have you come across this theory?
Of course, yeah. And it was only recently that we came across it, Jenks and I, on an Instagram live. Someone
Did you
yeah,
really?
put that question out
I
to
would have
us.
kicked off.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And it was just, again, because they wanted to see us kick off. But for me, I just simply stated it would have been a very boring film.
I mean, you're absolutely right.
I mean, if we take everything out of this, take Laura away, take everything that we're talking about.
Who's
and just
Laura?
go- Yeah, sorry.
Look, she's not part of this, all right? Leave her
So,
alone.
Then what film have you got? Why would someone ask that? That's like saying, oh, why didn't Rocky just win every fight? Well,
There you
because
go.
it'd be an awful film. I mean, are you stupid?
I never thought we'd have a Rocky comparison,
Yeah.
but there it is.
Weeks.
Rockies.
What are your thoughts? Go on.
So my thing with this has always been that they've always said that the only way that they could get to destroy the ring, it has to be in Mount Doom, and it has to be by secrecy, right? Because Sauron is immensely powerful. He's in Mordor. His eye is sat on top of Barad-dûr, for God's sake. And he's got 9 Nazgul who can fly. So what you think you should do is take this incredibly powerful thing and send in some giant eagles that everyone can see, send them through Mordor, and maybe they'll get there. Mordor's a big place. And you think, oh, Sauron probably won't notice there's these eagles coming. Oh, why are they coming? Probably no reason at all. Shall I send the Nazgul up to take the ring off them? Nah, it'd probably be all right. Ridiculous. I mean, don't you think? Isn't it just a ridiculous thought?
You're so right in every way, Chris, and you've completely proved everyone wrong. But the anger, the bitterness, the venom in your tone, that I was
Look,
scared, mate.
It just irritates me.
Yeah, but you're
It
so
just
right. You've
irritates me.
proved-
They've missed the whole point of what they were trying
You've
to do.
just
Yeah,
you've just made me go on my third. I'm on my third can now.
You've only had 2. My God, you're a mess.
How many have you had?
I've had a glass of whiskey.
That's all. Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, I'm saying that you're a mess. I'm fine.
Don't you start at me, Chris. Okay, don't.
This used to be a reputable podcast.
Did it?
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
Episode 1, it definitely
Yeah,
did.
fair enough. That's when people listen.
That was everyone's
No,
favourite.
No, it didn't. We started episode 1. The bits that didn't go on to the actual episode, it was not reputable.
But
That is
but
true.
yeah, right. Come on.
Yeah, we've covered the Eagles. That's
right.
good.
So
Wonderful
we then,
band.
we then have
Desperado.
the
Come on.
fantastic crowning of Aragorn, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful. And I thoughts on the song.
I think it's lovely.
I just really wanted
think-
him to go silent and just go. Somebody once tell me the world is gonna run.
What have you become?
Oh, God. He's become me, mate. He's become
We
me.
need to. You actually have.
I have, yeah.
You're trying
Is
to.
it-
You're trying
Prior,
to.
do you always just
upend this
live
whole
life
thing.
drunk?
90% of the time, mate, yeah.
Another one, isn't it?
What? I can't
It's
say
a real
You
shame.
can get away with
No, you can't.
Why?
whizzed.
That's
Wankered.
more like it. It's better.
Yeah, it's
Ridiculous.
a beautiful song.
It's a beautiful song, and it's Viggo Mortensen's composition.
Wow.
He made up the tune, not the words,
Yeah,
obviously,
that's
but
good.
he made up
I
the
was,
tune.
I was about to say, I was
He's
like,
rubbish at
I
words.
swear
He was
that's
like,
in the
"What's
book.
that? Yeah, I think Tolkien made that up. No, it was his composition. It's absolutely lovely, really,
Wow.
really fitting, beautiful.
Beautiful. And then,
And Liv Tyler's back, boys.
thank
Arwen
God,
returns.
Thank God Liv Tyler's back.
He's delighted to see her. Let's be honest.
We all are. We all are. And
Yeah.
then, right, come on. This moment where, my friends, you bow to no one.
Amazing.
Everyone was weeping.
My
Kills me.
Everyone
God.
was weeping.
Even thinking about that right now, just,
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah,
And then we jump, it does that fantastic pan out into the map
Yeah,
of
onto the
Middle
map.
Earth.
Tolkien's own map
Yeah.
that Tolkien drew himself.
Incredible.
Wonderful.
And then, and then we're on our little,
We're back in the
we're on our
Shire.
little horses going into the Shire.
We looked upon a familiar sight.
And what I love is
Great.
that, so through all this Shire stuff, I mean, it's just lovely just to be back in the Shire. It's just establishing that we are there, and it's mainly when they're in the pub and they have that little cheers where there is that slight apprehension in all of them going, this is never going to be the same again. We are never going to be able to look at this place the same.
Yeah.
And that's what I really love and adore, to show that, you know, these characters, they were from the Shire. This is their favourite place, but they have grown up so much in this year. They have seen so much that when they go back, it's like a slight itch that, wow, we're never going to be able to get over this.
Yeah, I suppose Sam is the one who gets back the best. Like, he fits in the best.
Yeah.
The other two, I mean, we can't really. Frodo doesn't fit in at all. Frodo has to leave because he fits in so badly. But Merry and Pippin, they sort of wear it quite well.
Yeah.
And they sort of bridge the gap between the two worlds, and they become sort of great leaders. But Sam is just, at heart, he's always been this simple hobbit, and he goes back to being that simple hobbit.
Again, that pureness.
It is pureness, and he keeps it throughout the whole film, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And so when he comes back to the Shire and to being a normal hobbit, he is the same person. You know, he's essentially, even though he's had all these experiences, he is still himself and true.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And I mean, that's why when he walks into Frodo's house and he's kind of just got his hands just on his waistcoat and stuff, you're like, you just think, this is your place, this is your calling, this is where you're meant to be. You just suit it so much.
He stepped outside his own world for a year, and then he came back.
And Frodo does that little line, "It's been a year since Weathertop, Sam.
It's
never really healed," which is obviously the hint that, you know, he is going to die.
Well, yeah, he's still got that little bit of wraith inside him. Which...
quickly before we talk about this last little beautiful moment, Weeks, I know you know this as well. I don't know if you know it prior, but obviously in the books, when they return to...
Yeah, it's a whole big chunk.
Completely taken over by Isengard Uruk-hai.
I did know this.
Oh, you did know it?
I don't know why.
Oh, did you? Saruman is in charge at Bag End.
One of you must have told me that.
He is. So the little moment that Sam has in Fellowship of the Ring, where he foresees the Shire being completely decimated, and that they're all being almost in slavery. That's actually a hint to how. Yeah, that's when we mentioned it in the Fellowship. Yeah, that's actually the hint to what happens when they do come back, and they all have to fight to free the Shire. Which, understandably, that's I get it why they didn't put that in this film, because it just would have been so much.
And it's a weird extra story after the story is essentially finished, isn't it? Like, we're in wind down at this point, so starting
it
up
almost
another
feels
story
like
is strange.
Tolkien just didn't want to finish this.
Yeah, or that he had a different sort of story to tell with it, which was maybe a personal thing that he, like a message that he wanted to put out there. Which obviously Peter Jackson, he was telling a story, and I think he finds the natural conclusion of the whole thing very comfortably where he does, and then it's just this is like the epilogue.
Yeah, I mean, when I always think again when they do that little cheers and Sam gets married, I always think, right, there's an ending. And then when he shuts the book and he goes, there and back, Lord of the Rings, you finished it. I always think that's an ending, and then Frodo obviously carries on and goes, not yet, there's room for a little more. And it's just like, wow, this film is still going on. Wow. But I mean, so we now come to this is our actual last moment, a beautiful scene where they're taking not only Frodo but Bilbo, and you see what age has actually done to Bilbo without the ring.
He looks bloody awful, doesn't he?
Once again, having a go in.
Just leave Bilbo out of this, mate. But
look,
hard life.
He's had a tough old time eating and feasting and writing poetry.
But what I find interesting is that Bilbo asks for one last time to see the ring again.
A little itch or something.
Weirdly enough, Frodo is just like content with it. He's just like, I'm sorry. I can't remember the actual line that he.
It's
Yeah, I'm
I'm
afraid
afraid
I lost it. Yeah,
Pity.
there is.
Yeah, Bilbo's not like he's not upset
No,
about it.
it's slowly draining out of him, but there is still
Yeah.
that slight little hint
Yeah,
there.
it's interesting. Even with the ring destroyed as
it's
well.
still there.
It's pure memory for Bilbo. But yeah, he's not he's not under the thrall
Yeah,
of the ring anymore.
But obviously, then we get to
Thank
our
goodness.
final beautiful scene. I love
Yeah,
this little port. I
Oh, it's
forget the name
wonderful.
of the port now, but I used to.
Grey Havens.
And I
it's
used
the
to
Grey
fight there
Havens.
in Lord of the Rings: Battle for Middle Earth. But
Of course you did.
this is
Wonderful.
yeah. I mean, it's still hard to watch for me, to be fair. But
Yeah.
when the
It's
hobbits
huge.
realise, Gandalf takes Bilbo, and then they look back for Frodo, and then
Yeah.
all the hobbits realise that Frodo is leaving as well.
Yeah. They saved
Yeah.
the Shire, but not for him.
Yeah, and then
As he
they
says.
break down, and obviously, when they were actually
Yeah.
filming this is all real.
That's right, because this is some of the last stuff they ever shot,
and
isn't it?
The saddest thing, and I don't know if you guys know this, the saddest thing about this is that they had to reshoot it again because
That's right.
was it Sean Astin?
Was it Sean? I
Or
can't
it could have
remember.
been
It was
Billy
no,
Boyd.
it was a
It was
continuity
a
issue.
waistcoat
Yeah, it was.
that
I think it
wasn't
might have
being
been.
worn. They were meant to wear. They all have their waistcoats, and one of the actors didn't wear their waistcoat.
Classic Sean
and they
Astin.
went back in
Maybe.
post-production and went, okay, well, suddenly one of them's not wearing their waistcoat. We need to go back and do this again.
Yeah.
After this harrowing, heartbreaking scene, as an actor, to bring out all those emotions and
Tough.
say goodbye to these people you've been with for so long.
Does he mention that in the book, Jinx?
Oh, God, don't even mention the book. I've been reading it now, it feels like 50 years, and he's still talking about auditions. Not even for Lord of the Rings.
By the time Jinx finishes it, he'll look like Bilbo.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Probably next year.
And I'll still be like, he hasn't bloody talked about Lord of the Rings. But this is it's beautiful. Frodo saying his goodbyes.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Heartbreaking.
I mean, so I always remember watching this in the cinema and going, okay, well, this is the last bit then. This is the last bit. What were your guys' thoughts when this happened?
I mean, yeah, it feels like a natural conclusion. This next part, even though, as I've said, I was getting itchy and wanting to move, the very, very final part where Sam comes back, I didn't begrudge because I think it's so lovely. And it's such a simple shot of him coming up the path, coming up the row. That I didn't begrudge this at all. Like I had the expectation that it would be maybe the sailing off into the west. But I think the ending is wonderful.
It's funny, I always saw the ending as the Aragorn being crowned. Okay.
Yeah.
And I always saw that as the true ending, and that all of this was like
An epilogue.
almost like an epilogue. Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
I saw this as
I think it is.
this is how their lives are afterwards now, but it wasn't necessarily the definitive ending in my head. I always thought, yeah, that's how I always saw it, but it didn't make it. And it
I
didn't
suppose
end
it's
as powerful.
because
It's always still so
they've
powerful.
really pushed Frodo's story in this, so they have to make the ending for Frodo. But I completely agree. Aragorn's crowning does again feel like another ending.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a big bullet point, or a full stop rather, not even a bullet point, but a massive full stop on the whole thing. And yeah, I think if you treat this part as an epilogue, it makes a lot of sense the way that they deal with it. And who wouldn't be glad to spend just that little bit of extra time with these characters back in the place where we saw them initially, and with all this, every single moment is heartwarming, and it leaves you with that feeling of comradeship and companionship and everything that the films are sort of stood for.
Yeah.
And then when we come to this very last moment where the three have ridden back, and I'll just draw your attention to this, which is in the books, which is initially it's only Frodo and Sam who go, to the Grey Havens with Bilbo and Gandalf to meet everyone else. And then Merry and Pippin come, and Gandalf says that he asked them to come because he didn't think that Sam should ride back on his own to the Shire, because of how upset he'd be. But then in the films, in this very last shot where we've got Sam walking back up to his little hobbit hole on the row, he is on his own, and then all of a sudden he's with Rosie Cotton and his little daughter Eleanor, and this is his future, you know, this is his life. He's back in his home. He's got this lovely wife who he was talking about on the fiery shores of Mount Doom, and they've got this beautiful daughter. And it's like, and his very last line, "Well, I'm back."
Brilliant.
It's just, I don't know. It's so optimistic and full of hope, and you know, all of this stuff has gone, all this darkness and all this dreadful business has gone before, and so much loss and ruin all over the world, and it comes down to something as simple, and I think this more and more as my life has gone on, simple as finding the person that you love, being in a place that you love, and with your child there as well.
Definitely.
And all of a sudden he's whole again. You know, he's got this new sense of whole. He knows that Frodo is safe. He knows that Frodo is well. Frodo hasn't been well this whole last year. And yeah, Sam, all of a sudden, for Sam, I think this is the ending of that chapter, and this is the start of the next one.
I completely agree. It's again
wonderful.
showing that all of the things that Sam has seen, all of the darkness, all of the, slight betrayal as well that Frodo has put on him, he can go past it because he knows, you know, but by this point, he's seen all of that, but he realizes that this is home now. This is what I've always wanted. Even on the edge of Mount Doom, when a volcano is erupting and I'm seeing lava walk past me, Rosie Cotton is still on my mind. She's still someone he breaks down when he mentions her name, and it's just like, wow.
And it's the big change for Sam, isn't it? Because when they're back in the Green Dragon and he sees her behind the bar, all of a sudden he's got the courage to go up and talk to her. It's the silliest and the simplest thing, and it's. I remember when I saw it, everyone was like, everyone in the cinema was like amused by it because they were like, "Oh my god, Sam's gone to ask out a girl."
Yeah.
You know, it's that thing after all this epicness. It's the simple stuff like that, and that's what Tolkien was all about. That's honestly what Tolkien was all about. I talked about it when we were in Inverness and we started out. Tolkien was about the simple country life of old England and believing in these simple, wholesome ideals. And that it's I think it's a great tribute to him and everything that he sort of stood for. And he was the message that he was trying to preach with these books, that you can take pleasure in these simple things. Sam is he's the perfect example of that. He's probably more than a little bit of Tolkien himself, that he's put into the character.
I think Sam is it is Tolkien. It's his true thoughts and feelings.
It's his avatar
been thrown in. But there we have it. We have finished the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We started this podcast in the world of Middle Earth, and we end now today at the episode 15. Episode 15.
Episode 15.
We finish our epic adventure ourselves in the world of Middle Earth. And you know what? I'm actually slightly sad that we aren't going to actually do another Lord of the Rings podcast.
Maybe we should find, because there's all sorts of stuff that we have touched on, like the games and things like that. Because there's a whole world out there of Lord of the Rings stuff.
Yeah, if we do,
which
we
is
don't even
not
want to go
directly
into Bombadil, of course.
Yeah. Oh, good old Bombadil, the great man.
But yeah, we have now hit the end of the three, in my opinion, the greatest trilogy that has ever been made. The best storytelling, the best characters, the best actors, the best cinematography, the best score. Everything about these movies is just the best.
It's perfection. It's unbelievable. And the Academy Awards recognised it as well. Let's take a moment for that. 11 nominations, 11 wins.
Smashed it.
Record breaking. And for a fantasy film.
Yeah.
It changed the landscape of cinema in in so many different ways. But that being in the public consciousness and not just being like a little niche, geeky niche of the film world. Everyone was talking about Lord of the Rings, which I think led to Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones wouldn't probably have been commissioned.
What I love about Lord of the Rings is that as much as Star Wars broke down the barrier and invented the blockbuster movie and invented, you can have these stories in a completely unknown realm that we've never been. But this film and these films made it that you can have the actual mutual respect and love to know that this is just it's the storytelling. It's to know that what it doesn't matter where this film is set. It doesn't matter. It's the fact that this storytelling is so good that even the Academy Awards go, you know what? Fair enough. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. We don't like this sort of thing, but this is an exception.
Again, I completely agree. This broke down the barrier for that type of movie, and George R. R. Martin has said exactly the same. And I don't think Game of Thrones never would have been commissioned at all. I don't think The Witcher would have been commissioned at all to go on TV if it wasn't for Lord of the Rings. And there's much more, not only film-wise and TV-wise, but gaming-wise as well. I think Lord of the Rings just opened up everything. I don't think RuneScape would have been a thing.
Well, it invented the MMOs like World of Warcraft and all the big
exactly.
ones.
Yeah, it did sort of come out of that, didn't it?
Yeah.
This was almost a Beatles-esque breaking down the barrier into the mainstream, which is it's just a beautiful thing, and that's down to these three films and those.
Yeah, Peter Jackson's vision.
And as much as I have opinions on Peter Jackson in The Hobbit and stuff like that, but it is very much like a George Lucas in the original trilogy to Peter Jackson in the Lord of the Rings. The man made everything.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he's the reason that we I would never have been introduced to Lord of the Rings, I don't think, unless these films had come along. Would I have read them? I don't even know. But I mean, this whole world. Maybe not. I don't know, because Lord of the Rings wasn't particularly in fashion when I was, when was the last time it was in fashion? I don't even know. But it was his passion and his vision and his innovation to pioneer the technical work that needed to happen to allow a film of this scale and complexity to come off. You can't dispute the achievement of the man. And in fairness, everyone's got mixed opinions about The Hobbit trilogy. I think even its most sort of ardent fans, it feels like a completely different animal to me. But I would sort of almost forgive Peter Jackson anything because of the quality of this trilogy of films. It's he's in the annals of legendary directors.
So how do you boys feel knowing that we started this podcast a while ago now, and it feels like a long time ago actually. We started this podcast, episode 1 on Fellowship of the Ring. We are now on our 15th episode, and we have now finally finished our adventure in Middle Earth. How do you guys feel about that?
I feel.
Go on, Brian.
Sorry, I feel sad a little bit, because it's like, my God. But I also feel proud that we have covered so much in this time, and that we've now kind of come to an end with this chapter. But it's also very exciting because there's so much more to come.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. It's it's amazing the amount of time that these sort of things take up in our lives, funnily enough. But the other thing is that, you boys know that I adore Lord of the Rings more than anything else I think that we're going to cover. Like, I love Star Wars. It's one of my big things, but Lord of the Rings is in a different league for whatever reason. But as we've gone through all of the pods, we can't help but relate each world to the others, right? We've done it loads in this one. We've talked about Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Harry Potter, even Rocky Pryor brought up somehow. But you can't help but notice the influences that these IPs have on each other. and that the characters follow the same sort of lines, or they make different decisions, and you can see these split points. So, and as much as it's sad that we won't be talking directly about Lord of the Rings, I've no doubt that it's going to
Absolutely,
come up
yeah.
again
We always will.
in what we talk about.
Yeah.
And especially if we like, we're still talking about Game of Thrones, but if we go on to another fantasy world, if we were to go onto a Harry Potter or something like that, they're inextricably linked in a lot of ways. Because how could they not be?
Yeah.
You know. But no, honestly, it makes me very proud that we've come this far, and it's honestly, it's just it's such a pleasure to talk about it in such depth.
I always see it as an almost a slightly giving back to what we were given. You know, that for us to talk, I mean, especially in this episode, for us to talk this long, just about an hour and a half, and
the second half of a film.
I always think of it as a thank you, as an appreciation of something beautiful that we were given when we were a lot younger, and the fact that even 15 years later, we are still, if not more, appreciating it. You know, and at this, at this terrible time and stuff like that, where what the world's in right now. You know, to go into a world like this and see that there's still hope, there's still something pure, and
it applies more than ever, doesn't it?
You know, we're in an awful moment at the moment, but there is still hope. You know, that we're being told we are going to make through, and there's been amazing gestures by so many different people in the world at the moment, and you see this film where they're in a lot worse, but hope is still realised. And I think that's just a pure thing about Tolkien and Tolkien's writing and Tolkien's thoughts.
Yeah, I've had a lot of Tolkien-esque sort of thoughts during this crisis, and one that I hadn't thought before, but that we just discussed was when we come out the other side of this crisis, when the world comes out the other side of this crisis, and we have that moment of raising our mugs of ale in the pub, knowing that we've been through this thing and coming out the other side. I don't think the world will ever be the same again, but hopefully we will have held on to our purity of spirit, you know. And it's an interesting thing that we're currently in this moment, which is obviously actually going to be a huge part of history. It's an unusual thing when you have this, but we have a few, like we had 9/11, the invasion of Iraq, and stuff like that. Maybe Princess Diana's death, but this is worldwide, like bigger than everything. And when you're in these moments in history and you're right in the center of them, and you see all these terrible things happening around you, sometimes it's difficult to remember that obviously it won't last forever, and it's that thing that Sam says in The Two Towers, you know, a new day will come, and when the sun shines, it will shine out the clearer. And I think there will be that when people come out the other side. There will be that collective spirit of growth, and we'll go back and we'll hopefully appreciate the smaller things that Tolkien was all about, you know. And in fairness, I think a lot of people, I know I've certainly appreciated my house and my family and my garden and like all these simple things, these simple pleasures, because you suddenly don't have the wide palette of options that you had before. And I'm sure that people, like, I mean, when was the last time I had, Prior, you said this the other day, when was the last time you had a takeaway coffee? I mean, but you don't need it. It's nonsense, you know. You just have your own delicious coffee, whatever you've got, and it's suddenly not important in the same way. It's only the important things that are important at a time like this. It's a very interesting time, and what a different world it is than when we started.
Crikey,
all those months ago. Who could ever have predicted it?
I mean, you're right. What a wise man you are, Chris.
I really appreciate that, mate. Thank you.
And Prior, how do you feel that we started this on Fellowship, and we're at episode 15, and we're leaving Middle Earth?
Well, I started this by saying that I feel very proud.
Oh, wait, have you answered this already? Sorry.
You did, mate. Yeah.
So I'm finishing off my third here, but
we can
tell. It makes me very proud that, you know, this started off as just a bit of fun, just to chat about the things that we love. And I think as soon as this crisis kind of happened and went down, it slightly drove me more to want to do this kind of thing, to keep this slight bit of normality that was happening before everything collapsed. It's kind of
Other people have said that as well.
It's nice to know, and I see it with other podcasts and other YouTubers that they are still going, that they won't stop what they're doing, because people need to see something that they are used to. And like me as well, I get so excited when we're about to do this, because we get to celebrate something incredible, and especially in this time, just to carry it on and move it on and have that hope that, Chris, I can't put it better than how Chris just said it, but yeah, exactly. But just to realize what you actually need to be happy, rather than what you see something in a random shop and you think, I'll just get that. But what you actually need to be happy is something completely different. And I think everybody's realizing that right now. I miss my loved ones a lot at the moment, and me doing this alone, just in a house and stuff like that, is very hard. But at the end of the day, I've still got that hope and knowing moment that I will have that situation where I see them again, and I'm like, thank God. Right, now I know what I actually need. But we finished on a pretty heavy note there. But that is the end of our adventure in Middle Earth with these 3 films.
Wow.
I must say, this has been absolutely fantastic. This episode has gone on for quite a while, but
it has. But I think we can justify
at the end of the day,
this
is something we started on, and the reason why we started this podcast. So if we go on longer, who cares? It's something that we love, and it's something that pushed us to do this decision to start this. So it's a beautiful celebration kind of moment. But so that has been 8 Days of Geek. Oh, I'll say that again. That has been 8 Days of Geek Return of the King Part 2. Thank you very much for listening.
Wow.
If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, please follow us. If you're listening on Spotify, please subscribe to our channel. If you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe, like, comment. And guys, we'd love some feedback on how you actually enjoying this podcast, because we know you are listening. And
absolutely. No, let us know. What you like, what you'd like to hear more of. Any reviews, stuff like that, would be absolutely fascinating to hear it. We're doing quite a lot of Insta Lives and stuff. I know you boys are doing loads, so it's lovely to talk to everyone, and to get that sort of that feedback. I think it's great. It's really, really interesting, and it'll just help us to move forward. When we did our first podcast, for me, that was my first podcast I'd ever done. So it's a learning curve for us all, isn't it? And we're talking about things that we're passionate about. So do let us know what you think about what we're doing, and as I say, what you'd like to hear more of, if there is anything at all. But and do subscribe on all the major channels
and follow our Instagram channel. Prior, do you have any leaving comments as well?
I ain't got nothing but love, babe. 8 Days of Geek.
Lovely. Bloody hell, boys.